This is your home for every Patriots game.
Looking to the end zone, trying to keep the play alive. Falling down, he throws to the end zone. It's caught. He's got it. Touchdown.
WBZ-FM and HD Boston. 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
Both the Celtics and the Bruins had last night off, but both will be back at work this evening. The Bruins have the home game as they get ready to play Minnesota. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Interim head coach Joe Sacco announced yesterday that despite the fact he's practicing, Hampus Lindholm likely will not be ready to play until after the upcoming 2-week break for the Four Nations face-off. Celtics play a big game in Cleveland tonight. These two teams have split the first two meetings, with the home team winning both games. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 over on 105.7 WROR. The Celtics have listed everyone as available on the active roster. The bidding for ownership of the Celtics is ongoing, and despite an earlier report from Bill Simmons, Philadelphia Eagles owner and Boston native Jeffrey Lurie told the media last night he is not interested in purchasing the franchise at this time. Lurie was speaking at NFL's opening night in New Orleans in advance of the Super Bowl, which is Sunday night. Jalen Hurts had a lot of nice things to say about the Kansas City defense last night. The Chiefs ranked 9th overall in that category during the regular season.
Spags has always done a great job. I got a ton of respect for him. They got great players, great front seven, great defensive back, a very defensive back group, very disruptive group, and so it'll be a great challenge for us.
In other league news, the Patriots have hired former Jets assistant Todd Downing as their wide receivers coach. Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is the favorite to become the next head coach in New Orleans. Rams assistant Nick Caley is the new offensive coordinator in Houston. And league defensive player of the year Myles Garrett is asked for a trade out of Cleveland. And finally, at the Beanpot, #1 Boston College blew out two-time defending champion Northeastern 8-2 last night. They move on to play BU in Monday's championship game. The Terriers beat Harvard in the first game yesterday, 7-1. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Boom. Yeah.
Hit somebody. We've got a passion for Boston sports. Get angry. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher.
Fred Toucher on Instagram. Follow and see dog humping videos.
And Hardy.
I'm going to withhold sex.
On 98.5.
Hello.
Hey there.
Yo.
Can we use this for the radio?
What? Let me hear you say, oh. Na 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 na.
Crush me, mommy.
Just not enough booty to go around?
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope. I'll chase you around a little bit.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Instagram.
I want to dip it in, boy.
Toucher and Hardy.
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fun.
Having some fun.
On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy, and our coverage of Super Bowl 59 is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. We're in the Town Fair Tire Studios. You can call us 617-779-0985.
Hi there.
Huh?
Hi there.
I don't know who you are.
It's your vagina speaking.
Oh. Well, now
Makes
you're
it easier to, you know.
You're asking me to do the guy who wishes he had.
OMG.
All right. Well, listen. It is true. It's an OMG kind of day. Lots going on. Hardy, are you having people over for the Super Bowl or no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had that discussion last night.
And what was the verdict?
We're doing Super Bowl at my house. If you'd like to come, John.
Oh,
John's
Adam,
obviously got plans.
Adam, Ryan, not Nick, Fred.
Thank you.
well, thanks for the invite, Hardy.
Yeah. My kid, I approached my children with it yesterday, and they agreed, which is big
Okay.
news.
Oh, they're both coming over, and
Oh yeah.
So there was a discussion of what types of food, because Marcy, she loves preparing foods and foods, and I said that's great. I thank you in advance for that. Can we also, in addition to whatever foods you're going to prepare, I don't know, get a big tray of wings from somewhere, and then I like when I go to a party and I see a bunch of like pre-ordered burritos that have already been.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I've been to a couple of different occasions where they have those things, and there's this big spread of food out, and here's this, and there's that. You know what's always gone? The burritos. Burritos, gone. People love the burritos. Your kids do burritos?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So I think we'll do a big, burrito tray, and then, wings and, the snacky stuff. But, yeah. That's the plan.
I'm thinking Buff's Pub at your house.
Well, see, the thing is that I would get Buff's Pub and bring it to Hardee's, but Buff's on Super Bowl Sunday is insane, and it's not good.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like,
the line is out the
I
door.
love Buff's. They've gotten many, many, many dollars from me and a ton of talk on the air, but Buff's Pub wings are not Buff Pub's wings Super Bowl Sunday. Like, they have a special table set up. Yeah. They're like flying through. They're not making them the same.
Hundreds of bags are sitting there.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that.
It's not. It's a dishonor to Buff's wings, and then they don't make onion rings that day.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've been through this dance before, my friend.
Wow.
Because then because they're using all the fryers for the wings.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you got to have the onion rings.
Onion rings are killer.
Or don't. It's great anyway. Either way.
That's right.
But you got to have the onion rings. So they're using all the fryers for the chicken wings. I don't think the same amount of preparation is put into them. There's a lot of questions I have about Buffs. Only Super Bowl Sunday. 364 other days a year, you're fine.
Now, this is not without controversy.
Oh, no.
Because my more useful by the day neighbor, Chris, across the street, they just got back. They're always traveling, going somewhere. Turns out they, too, will be having a Super Bowl gathering. So we started kicking around the idea of not only what is this going to be like, but this has the makings of a direct to Netflix movie, competing Super Bowl parties amongst people who normally would party together. Now they're having separate parties.
What are they going to get, Tom Brady? You won. You won. You have a superstar coming over.
But we need to hash out the plot of this movie, I think, and come up with.
First of all,
is it called Super Sunday?
It's called. Yeah, you could call it Super Sunday with a question mark.
Yeah. Okay, very.
And then I know how it ends. Both doors are just left open and everyone's in the street just having a good time.
The police show up. It's a whole thing.
I mean,
that happened to my parents.
Is there sabotage to the other person's cable or DirecTV?
There's hijinks. There's no question about it.
It starts with parking problems on the street because you guys are both so damn popular. We reserve this side of the street. Your guest parked over here.
Buying out the White Claws at the local liquor store.
That's not even funny. There's got to save enough claw for anyone. There's a 12-pack claw limit, 24-can limit at the lick. Someone tries to light the house on fire, and you're like, Jed, hey, because crazy cousin Jed's over there,
right?
And he's like, oh, and you see him, and he's pouring gas all around the house, and you're like, no, you're taking it too far.
I mean, Will Ferrell's probably too big of a name, but he has done some, almost direct. We just watched a Will Ferrell the wedding one.
Wedding Crashers?
No. You Are Cordially Invited.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes, yeah. Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, that's right. They go visit all the families, and Favreau's in there.
No, that's Four Christmases.
That's Four Christmases. This just came out, John. This is Two Big Weddings. Double booked, same venue, small island.
I remember this.
Oh my God, what are we gonna do?
Yes.
What are we gonna
Does
do?
this have to be a direct to Netflix situation though, or can you do this on the old Hallmark channel so Alex's wife watches it? That way you can get lesser known talent.
I don't know. There's so much. There's too much inherent violence in this one. 12. I don't think this is a Hallmark thing.
Okay.
Well, it could be. I mean, we just have to
Tone it down
tweak
a
the
little
script
bit.
a little bit.
Yeah, the whole gasoline lighting the other house on fire. That doesn't say Hallmark to me.
Like they say, who's bringing the chicken wings? And so you go, I got them, and then you put a couple chickens on their front lawn, and you're like, go make wings.
And there has to be two long lost loves who dated in high school going to separate parties. And so I remember you left me under bad circumstances when we were kids.
That's the Hallmark version.
Yeah.
We're gonna. No, I want to do a Netflix or at very least a Hulu version.
Okay.
Of this.
Well, then you could have, it becomes like most neighborhoods where the neighbors are too close, a whole swinging situation that ends in lots of divorces.
That'll get at the R rating you're looking for.
There will be swinging, absolutely.
Who's bringing a pineapple to the Super Bowl?
Which house
party?
has the pit?
Well, that makes it uncomfortable for me because now I gotta scrounge up a woman.
Yeah, you just can't show up. I mean, you're gonna be off the gender balance by one.
Yeah, I got to shave my pubes. Remind me, because I can't come into some swinging situation all fluffy downstairs. yeah, and there's nothing like they're like, we got enough dudes, all right. Like, if we're gonna swing, you got to bring a lady. Come on. Well, look, it's very exciting. So they're having a Super Bowl party.
Yeah.
Your neighbors.
Yeah.
Are you very close to them?
Yeah.
He looks in the guy's house to see if he's watching TV.
Well,
Doesn't get any
that's
closer
everybody.
than that.
Do you?
Yeah, who doesn't do that?
Yeah, who doesn't do that? Now, this is a good question. You bring something up good, John, is that if you're both having competing parties, will you be keeping an eye? Will you be walking the dog, in quotations, a little bit during the day to see what's doing on the other house?
Oh, see how they prepare. Yeah.
I mean, it's right there. Yeah, it's not going to require a whole lot of investigating beside what I normally do, which is standing at one of the front windows and just sipping coffee and looking.
Yeah.
So that'll be just a normal Sunday.
Right.
No special activity required there.
When are you coming out and getting the paper, buddy?
Yeah. I have a feeling he's going to fire up that grill early, and he's going to try and make everyone jealous because he does. Yeah, he goes a little overboard with the grilling, and we all appreciate it, but he gets some fillets going and then slices them up like Japanese steakhouse style. It's like, hey, everybody, just take a couple of handfuls of steak just as like an appetizer.
Sure.
I'm like, oh,
Sure.
oh boy.
Yeah, but then it's annoying because he's grilling. And then it's just like annoying because he's like all proud of himself and grilling. That's annoying. It's not worth the steak.
It's kind of worth it. The steak's really good.
I don't doubt that it tastes good, but there is the price to be paid for that, is that you have someone who's too proud of themselves with a big old satisfied look on their face moving meat around a flame. It's not rocket science.
That's a green egg, man. That is
Well, the green egg, then
approaching high science.
Well, then green egg, he shouldn't have to do much. The green egg, he can have an app in his pocket. He doesn't need to be. He just leaves that alone.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that takes a while, but the meat's great. But you really don't have to do all that much, right?
I've never been around anyone with a green egg. I've just had people that have said that they have. Ryan Johnston is a big barbecue guy, and he says that there's like an app. Because I said that's got to be so annoying to like smoke something like all day. And then he's like, yeah, it's not, because you have this app in your pocket that like tells you when to go out there. And you don't have to go out very often.
Right.
But I've never been at someone's house where they had a green egg. Have you?
It's totally worth it. I got a friend of mine.
Well, it's not worth it to have one.
No, but it's totally worth it to be at a house with a guy who has one.
It's better than like barbecue at like a barbecue restaurant.
It was really good.
All right.
It's really good.
Maybe it was because you were swinging that it tasted so good to you. Maybe it wasn't the food that you were tasting, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's the
You
experience.
were just tasting another guy's wife.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
All right.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hey.
It's nice to meet you.
I literally just went to heaven.
All right.
I met John Wallach.
How you doing?
Yes. Well, listen, I heard the shows yesterday from the Super Bowl. If you don't know, the midday show and the afternoon show are out at the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
Midday show was freaking packed with guests on a Monday.
Yeah, but one was Bert, and then, and then one was like some NFL guy. Like, yeah.
They had two on in like the first hour.
Yeah.
That's
and
impressive.
Like Ryan
It wasn't
Leaf.
Bert. Yeah.
No, they had Bert on yesterday.
No, but in the first hour.
No, they had another NFL guy who I've heard his name, but I don't really know who he is. Yeah, like, believe me, it's not a lot. And did you see that they have the media room is in the parking garage?
Yes, I did see that.
Oh, I saw it on TV. I couldn't tell it was in a parking garage.
No. The where people are broadcasting is inside of something.
Okay.
It's got to be a convention center, right?
But at the who knows? But at the Superdome, the media room is in the garage, a parking garage. Like, it's such a ghetto affair. And did you hear that the get-in price for the Super Bowl now is like $1,400?
No. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
see
like
it.
it's less than the Lions game was
Oh, jeez.
at some points.
It's
Like, and they're like, well, it doesn't have it has more seats than Vegas, and you're like, no, it's because it's New Orleans, and because it's
Eagles Chiefs,
and it's Eagles Chiefs, and you would think a bunch of Eagles fans would want to go, but like Chiefs fans don't care anymore.
No.
So
that was made evident by the tickets for the playoffs.
Yeah,
divisional and conference game.
Yeah, so if you're looking to go to the Super Bowl, do not buy tickets today because they've already gone down 50%.
So your rule, just to get back to it overall, was wait till Wednesday, Thursday for a Sunday game?
Well, if you're doing it, if I'm doing it myself, I'll wait 2 days before the game to buy the tickets.
We did really well on our tickets. Now, we still spent more, on those tickets than I've spent, I think, on a ticket ever. But we did really well on them, and I think we got them 2 days ahead of time.
Yeah, and so
had we waited until day of, we would have seats wouldn't have been as good, but we would have gotten a better price for still damn good seats.
Yeah,
your seats from what I saw were really good.
Like,
I'd spend the extra money.
The rule of thumb is this, if you would like to know, and it's not my wisdom, it's been wisdom that is passed down to me by ticket guys and venue operators. Is that sporting events is 2 days before and concerts is the day before or day of. Concerts day before, day of. Sporting events 2 days before. Now here's the thing: if you're traveling to a game, it's very hard on game day with digital tickets to get everything together. Like you're in a dangerous situation there.
Right.
Also, like first of all, if we would have bought the tickets that we had like a week before the game, we would have paid double what we paid.
Yes.
So second, but then if you want to make sure that you're going to have, like if you're very particular about what kind of seats you have, then you monitor the day, like 3 days before and then the day and then 2 days before. And if you pounce at that point, like if you see something, what were they, Hardy, before the exorbitant fees and taxes? Were they 800?
Yeah.
Like they were 1,400 before or 2,000. Then they got down to like 800, and Hardy texted me, and I'm like, yeah, go, because like whatever at this point. But then the fee is $1,000 a ticket or something ridiculous. I'm not joking.
No, it was more than it's like 25% at least of the ticket price. So those 4 $800 tickets ended up costing us over $4,000.
Oh yeah, and then the tax on it, So there's the tax on the fee and the ticket. So there's the tax on it's the combination of the fee is insane, and it's not like it's StubHub or Ace Ticket or whatever's fault. Because if you buy them off Ticketmaster, there's that big ass service charge too. I just bought I told you I'm taking my daughter to see Tyler the Creator at the Garden, and I'm taking to see Kendrick Lamar and SZA at Ford Field. And I bought the Tyler the Creator tickets on a pre-sale from Amex. Like, so, a pre-sale, like,
so
not
the actual,
secondary.
No, ticket, like face value.
Yeah, $1,100 a ticket.
Oh, God.
Well, when it was all said and done, $1,100 a ticket to see Tyler the Creator at the Garden.
How close are you?
We're not in general admission because I'm not putting her in that. No. So we're on the side. We have good seats, but I mean, I'm not on the stage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
purchase on the side if you
right
in the
like they shouldn't be $1,100. If I would, there's no band I'd pay $1,100 to see.
Right.
It's just that my daughter. That's what I go to the movies and plays and stuff with her that in concerts, and so like
but it's a delicate balance because you all right. I'll be on the side, but I'll be up in the 300s,
No.
and then all of a sudden you get there. Oh, savvy idea. I did that for Roger Waters at the Garden one night, and I was further away than I thought I was going to.
Well, and also it's not worth it to me. I just rather not go. Like I don't want to be in the building. I'm not a kid anymore.
Right.
Like when I was a kid, I would just wanted to be in the building. Like, but if I'm going to go to a show, I want to see what's doing. I want to see it with my eyes. Like I'm not in an arena to hear the audio quality. You know what I'm saying? If I go to an arena show, which I wouldn't normally do anyway, I mean, I want to see. I have to see what they're doing with my eyes. If that makes any sense. Like I don't want to be looking at a screen. That's ridiculous to me. That's why like stadium shows, which I'm going to, but they're on. We are pretty close. The sound sucks. and you're looking at a screen. Like, I don't.
Yeah, it's a little dot. Like Elton John came and played at Gillette Stadium a few years ago, and we went and we got club seats on the side, but he's a small dot there on the screen, and you see it. You can see the big screen above it.
And the whole thing about him is his facial expressions and his costumes and like everything. You know, so like it's better to be close. But you know, if you went there to get effed up and like hang out, I get it. But you know, at my age. And with my kids, I'm not going there to get effed up and hang out. So, like, you know, if I'm going to go, I'm going to spend money. So I'm taking her to those 2 shows, and that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, I can't. She's like, so-and-so's playing today. And I'm like, you know, you have a mother. Like, she has plenty of money, believe me. She's got plenty of child support money. You ask your mother for those tickets. And all in good love. But there you go. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hook.
you catch a game last night?
I did not. We are Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce in your life with Dr. Matthew Lopresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. What's going on? I hear a lot of talk about. I'll do this with you guys. I heard the PTI guys doing it. If I could borrow from them.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Let's do that.
Very quickly, I found this to be a fun exercise. Where would you rank Luka Donic on in terms of players that LeBron has played with? Like he's actually at the time he's playing with them, because Shaquille O'Neal he played with, but Shaquille O'Neal wasn't very good anymore.
Right.
So he played against.
No, that he played with teammates.
And we're taking their skill while they were teammates, not overall.
Right.
Okay.
You're taking their skill while they're a teammate.
Okay, I got it.
It really comes down to, to my knowledge, one guy, and it's your opinion on who was better at this stage in their career, the stage where he played with them.
Dwayne Wade is a Hall of Famer.
I would say Dwayne Wade is better. Dwayne Wade had a championship. Dwayne Wade, while they, he went there and that was a championship team.
Yeah, Dwayne Wade. There's Kyrie, and there's no one else off the top of my head that I can think of that's even close.
This is where you got to allow. I have to force myself not to picture how Luka looks when he plays.
Right.
Because Dwayne Wade was a smooth operator.
Yeah.
He looked good.
His nickname was The Flash at one point.
Yeah,
yes.
and it's like, man, he was he's got the numbers to back it up, and he's got the rings and everything else, but he looked good doing it.
Yeah.
Luka just never looks good. The numbers are astounding, and the actual his stats are eye-popping. But to watch him, you think, what? How is this guy even doing this?
Yes, because the game slows down to a standstill when he has the ball. He is unusual. He's different than any other player in the NBA, which is why when he starts playing, which I guess is in a week, it's going to be fascinating to watch the two of them coexist. He's kind of like James Harden in that regard, only Harden's not nearly as good. So Harden's the same way.
I would give it to Dwayne Wade, but
it's pretty close. I think when all is said and done in 10 or 15 years, it'll be a dead heat between the two of them.
We'll see.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
I don't know how they're going to operate with each other.
Yeah.
And I heard Barkley talking about this again, and it does LeBron a bit of a disservice to say that he can only operate with the ball. He can only move with the ball. And I think LeBron can do a bit more than that. I have not seen Luka do a lot more than that. Luka needs to have the ball.
That's the thing when Kyrie
that's not debatable.
Right.
They're going to have that offense is going to be Luka Doncic taking the ball up the court. That's undebatable.
When Kyrie went to Dallas, that was the thing. Kyrie is also a ball-dominant point guard, but when he played with Luka, he was off the ball.
Yeah.
So, yes.
But you would agree that LeBron can still be effective off the ball.
He is. That is why he's one of the two best ever to play, is that you put him anywhere and he could do anything.
And did you hear that now that, I guess this is a story, Nico Harrison, knows the GM of the Lakers because Nico Harrison worked for Nike. And he says when they were bidding Steph Curry when he was 25, according to Sports Illustrated, Nike completely botched the pitch meeting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Harrison was at the center of it. One Nike executive reportedly mispronounced Curry's name, calling him Stefan instead of Stephen.
That's not good.
And meanwhile, a repurposed PowerPoint with a picture of Kevin Durant, not Curry, was displayed on the screen during the meeting.
Come on.
So that's
in 2022. Harrison finally addressed the rumors that he was the one who mispronounced the name. There's an article out. This is what Harrison said. The article says I mispronounced his name. It wasn't me. It absolutely wasn't me. But they didn't know the other person. They knew me. So they say I mispronounced his name because it's sexy. But I'm like, first of all, I've known this guy forever, like since he was in high school. I used to represent his dad. How am I going to mispronounce his name? I might have called him Seth, but I wasn't going to mispronounce his name. So yeah, Nike made a mistake. Oh. And then this Outkick article, which I just had Googled, says, so instead of mispronouncing his name, Harrison called Steph Curry Seth. who is Steph Curry's younger brother. Mm-hmm. Which, if I was in a presentation that was worth millions and millions of dollars, I would be incredibly offended by that. But I think the main thing is they didn't offer him a signature shoe. But now, because people are running around trying to justify that the Dallas Mavericks, that their GM is like a complete fool. I mean, he was big enough at Nike where he was for 15 years pitching. You tell me he was in the room with Steph Curry. He's not an idiot. As much as they might have botched a presentation, that guy's one of the heads of Nike. I mean, that's pretty good. And, I just don't think that team, for no reason, would have made that move just because of what we know now. That's all. That's all. And it may be a really boring story, but they never are. They never are. These are never, we've been at it too long. They're never just that simple. It's never just like, wow, can you believe this idiot? Like, he was out. He wasn't in condition. But they could get him in condition because LeBron's there, and they can work with him.
There are some deals that you look at and go, boy, that was just incredibly stupid, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. Like this trade, this Luka trade, has been compared locally to the Mookie Betts trade to the Dodgers.
No, they didn't want to pay Mookie Betts, and there's no cap in baseball. And they wanted to get something from at that point. But that was a bad trade because they got crap in return.
That was my point.
Yeah, but they were going for prospects. So that would be like going, you traded a guy for 4 first-round picks. Like you traded Drake May for 4 first-round picks, and then you didn't hit on the picks. Mm-hmm. Like that's like, okay, well, you had an opportunity to get what you wanted, but you just didn't execute that. So it's a bad trade. It's not like this. It's not like they're moving. No. That doesn't even compare. Lucic pretty much straight up for is
Doncic. Is that who you're talking about?
No, Doncic. Yeah, straight up is not pretty much straight up is not comparable for Anthony Davis. Is not comparable. Something is going on. And there's a reason they didn't want to pay him.
Yeah, the Red Sox wanted to keep Mookie Betts. They just didn't want to pay him.
Right, and there's no cap. And
Dallas doesn't want Luka.
You don't want him, right? Like you know how all that stuff works. Like if you give him the supermax, then you can maneuver things because of this rule and that rule. Like they could have afforded to pay him, and it's not like they're not gonna. It wouldn't have put him over some luxury apron. In fact, this puts the Lakers, in the second tier of the. Yeah. Of the luxury apron,
yeah.
So
and then when they re-sign him, it's a whole thing.
Yeah. Right, and then it's a whole thing for them because they don't get him on that supermax because it's 5% of the.
Yeah, they save because they're not responsible for the supermax. They save over $100 million.
Right, because you can only eat up so much of your team's salary.
If you've just been traded, you're not eligible for the supermax.
Right, so he'll sign like a bridge contract. They're saying that will get him into a situation where he can sign a bigger deal, but it's just I just don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
I hope so. I hope we get something out of this because right now,
I'll tell you this. Do you think
their explanation does not hold water?
Do you think? Well, I mean, you've heard things, but do you think Luka is happy about this and proud of this?
No.
I mean, his teammates are like, he just bought a new house and he was crying and this and that. Like, if I'm Luka Doncic, I'm going. Whatever's going on in his life has gotten to the point where he is now like embarrassed because he's been moved in this like unprecedented trade. So whatever Luka's been doing and however he's been handling himself or however he's been treating himself or others has now real world results. Like, oh, well, he's playing for the Lakers. It's going to be super fun. It cost him a lot of money. And it's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing. It's that's not how you want your career to go. You want to shoot your way out of town, or you want to be wined and dined and talked about. Like
one of a handful of Hall of Fame players traded in their prime. You can count those guys on one hand.
And you could argue he's not even in his prime yet.
Yeah,
he's 25.
Well, yeah,
but in basketball years now, when you start if you're 18,
since the '60s. I mean, I saw Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Oscar Robertson. It's statistically, comparatively. Now, look, they were way better, but comparatively, Wilt was averaging 41 points a game.
I know.
So like, but that was like that was when there was like 6 teams, and you could, and no one cared at all about basketball. Like, this is a whole different thing.
Kareem was a little more, but yeah, that's
and
true.
you should,
if you didn't play defense, you'd never hear about it. There wasn't anybody watching.
You want to know what's funny too is you hear guys call into national shows. This is why this country is in such trouble. They call in these national shows and they're like, "This was an ESPN trade." ESPN, like everyone's in the know. Everyone like knows what's going on. Like this is a broader conspiracy. Like, it's one thing to go like, obviously something's going on with Luka that we don't know because like they moved him for a reason.
Oh no,
that makes sense. But the ratings are down, and like, how the F is this going to help ratings in the long term?
Well, what it helps, and this is the theory that I believe, that the president asked the owner of the Mavericks to execute the trade to take away time spent on the story of the tariffs. And, and the owner of the Mavericks was a big donor to Trump's campaign. Mm-hmm. So this was...
Yes, sir.
Yes, this was something that was...
Dealing Luka.
Well,
they get right back to you.
It is fishy that ESPN has put on a Laker game to compete with the Super Bowl. It is a little fishy because they know they'll split that audience in two. But, I mean, you should hear these guys call in. They're so sure of themselves. Like, you've never met anyone that lives in California or New York City, let alone what's going on at these media companies and how the leagues work. If everything was as interesting as you thought it was, I mean, my God, everyone's got to have some insider knowledge. And it's like a guy that works at Valentine in Nebraska, and he knows how the system works. Because he's on Reddit.
So let me ask you a question. If you're Luka and you're really upset about this trade, how much of that wound is salved by the notion that now you'll get to play with Bronny James and you'll have that as an option out there?
Well, at least I know that that's a guy I don't have to pass to. So at least I have that going.
So you don't feel guilty dribbling around if Bronny's on the floor. It's like, you just wait over there.
Well, one thing I found interesting, and this is real life, is that now there's all this talk that they have to get a big, the Lakers, because he needs someone to throw alley-oops to. And if you watch the playoffs, that was a big part of Dallas's offense. So, like, basically, this is interesting to me. And I don't know anything. What do I know about anything? But if you have Luka, the offense is this big fatso slowly brings the ball down the court. And he's going to shoot, and he'll make, 40% of his shots or whatever. And he'll score, 30 points. And the rest of the points will be alley-oops. It doesn't... It doesn't sound like a recipe for greatness.
That's all it is.
Well, you should have heard these people on ESPN. They were losing their mind that they need to get themselves a big man to get alley-oops.
Well, I'm very interested to see how LeBron and Luka coexist. Is LeBron going to be happy standing over on the side for 20 seconds every time down the floor? I don't know. Or is Luka, for the first time in his life, going to give up a portion of his offense to one of the best players ever? I mean, I don't know, for however long it is, a year, maybe 2. This transition period for the Lakers is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Not enough to watch, but it will be interesting from afar. That will be interesting. They'll make the playoffs, and then
of course they will.
Now,
without a doubt, they'll make the playoffs.
Well, no, they're better. They were better before. They just as a team, like
sure,
people are acting like Anthony Davis sucks.
That's a Hall of Fame defender.
Yeah.
I mean, player, like first ballot Hall of Famer.
Anthony Davis and LeBron James. In terms of basketball,
yes, when they're both healthy, yes.
Yeah, it's not a ridiculous notion to think that team is better than Luka and LeBron. Now, Luka and LeBron are individually better players, or at least LeBron was in his prime, or even a couple years ago. But, I mean, people are just dismissing Anthony Davis. Like, look, the trade doesn't make any sense based on Davis's age and injury history. But, I mean, in the I don't think Dallas is going to do anything, but in real time, the Lakers got a little bit worse. I don't think that's ridiculous to say. It's very controversial.
Lakers are the 5 right now, 28-19.
Yeah. And they got J.J. Redick as a coach. He's a good guy.
There you go. Master tactician.
Yeah, I hope he has fun with all this.
And he'll be the first one to tell you that.
Yeah, I hope he has fun with all this. Where he really laid down the law with that Bronny James crap. All right. We'll be back. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Bruins and Celtics both in action tonight. The Bruins are home to play Minnesota. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. The team announced yesterday defenseman Hampus Lindholm is not expected back until after the upcoming 2-week break for the Four Nations face-off. Celtics are in Cleveland tonight. Cavaliers have the best record in the NBA. Everyone available for the Celtics. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 over on 105.7 WROR. Philadelphia Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie said last night he is not in the running to purchase the Celtics. Patriots have hired former Jets assistant Todd Downing as their wide receivers coach. And at the Beanpot, BC won easily, beating Northeastern late last night 8-2. They'll play BU in the championship. They blew out Harvard earlier yesterday 7-1. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Prolotherapy. Don't let joint pain keep you off the court, course, or trail. Eliminate that pain with Dr. Franke of Boston Prolotherapy. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy, our coverage of Super Bowl 59 is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. What else is going on, Hardy?
All right, so we mentioned that it was the opening night, whatever they call it, for the Super Bowl, where everybody has their first media availability.
Yes,
players,
I missed it very much.
coaches, yeah.
Used to do some hijinks.
It was fun the first couple times, and then it wasn't fun anymore. It's like, because everyone's doing it. Like at this point, like here's what the press day is, just very quickly, is that they're all lined up, and like the 20 best players on the team get a
riser,
and there's no one really leading the press conference. Like they kind of just take questions. So, there's a bunch of boring questions, and then there's a bunch of people trying to be outrageous. And at this point, it's just like, okay, like what was fun was finding the crappy players, like in quotations, crappy players. It's a dismissive way, the professional athletes on the field that didn't have podiums, and then screwing around with them. That was what was fun.
Yeah.
And some of those guys, especially on those Patriots teams, who was the offensive lineman who was a huge dick? And, like, you knew it going in.
Brian Stork was one of those
guys.
Yeah,
Brian Stork was a huge dick. And that was, like, that, you know me now, Hardy. That was, that's my bread and
Stork
butter.
was an a-hole that day.
Like if I know you're going to be a dick, and, like, then I think you're an a-hole. So I don't care.
Right.
So, like, at this point, so I'm going into it not liking you.
Yeah.
And then at that point, if you bring that energy back to me, like what I assumed, now we're going to have a good time. Because now I'm just going to see how far I can push you. And those were fun. But I'm not sorry I'm not there. Go ahead.
But Roger Goodell also spoke, and he was asked a lot of questions about the officiating and bias. And to me, it's so tired now. And it's so obvious. And especially the Patriots fans, even some of them become kind of self-aware on this, where it's like, you realize this is what everybody was saying about Brady back in the day.
Yes.
How he's
But you couldn't touch Brady.
Exactly the same thing.
I mean, you couldn't touch him.
Can we, all right, and Mahomes, he flops every once in a while, and they do get some calls, but go easy, because you benefited from that for years and years. I was way more interested in what Roger had to say about some of the technology that they're hoping to implement here in the coming years, and some of the changes coming to the league. First of all, how about that 18-game season? Now, we know this is going to happen, but what did Roger say?
If we do, 18-2 might be a possibility, because we know that fans, I think, love football. They want more football, but we have to be incredibly sensitive and smart about the balance and how we deal with that.
So 18-2 would be 18 regular season, 2 preseason.
Yep. Yeah, because if they take away a preseason game, it's just like it just all washes out, because all the starters played the entire preseason game. It's got the same effect on their bodies as a regular season game. Do you understand the not? I think they should start in August and end in May.
That's where
and at the end of the season, the Super Bowl is played with a bunch of line workers.
Okay, so it's not a bad idea. I just want them to go to the end of May and finish it off on Memorial Day weekend.
Oh,
so that way
sense.
You get the Monday holiday after Super Bowl Sunday.
And it's also a tribute to the country.
All kidding aside, I mean, they're closing in on March as we speak. I mean, the Super Bowl's already been pushed back a week. You got bye weeks, an extra week of games, and you start at the beginning of September, and now we're at a point where you might start in like March 1st.
Well, they're never getting rid of the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl and the championship games. They're never doing that, because they make a lot of money this week. So they're never going to do that.
So if they add in a second bye week with that 18-game regular season, which has been talked about.
So 20-week season on top of 2 or 3 week preseason.
There'd be a 2 week preseason, and then it will be 2 bye weeks. So
this year the Super Bowl
would be a 19-week season.
But what they've kind of always factored in is that President's Day week, which is a week off for a lot of people. And there's some thought that the NFL doesn't want to have Super Bowl Sunday taking place before a holiday. They want everyone back to work and talking about it and engaged in the post-Super Bowl conversation as
Via
opposed
Zoom.
to having – Yeah, well, I don't think it should matter all that much, but I think it's been a consideration at league levels. Anyway,
well, they're going to get better ratings if it's not. I mean, that's a dead time. I mean, if you have the Super Bowl, I know it's the Super Bowl, but if it will cost you a couple million people if you have it on the Sunday before a holiday. Like, just you're not going to get as many eyes on it. That Saturday and Friday nights are the worst nights for television. And so that Sunday night's even worse because it's before a holiday. People will be out of town.
Yep.
Like now people aren't having parties. Now it's not the event that it once was. They can't have it before a holiday. They can't because everything that makes it special, it's its own holiday. If you combine it with an existing holiday, then no one's around. I'll be around, but no one else will.
How about more international games? That's what everybody wants, Roger.
We do think that 16 is something that is realistic.
16 international games.
How many are there now?
I think, what are they?
Jacksonville plays 8.
6 or 7 this coming season. I mean, they're
Tried
going to
get
Berlin.
8 games this year. We may fall short of that, but we think we'll get close to that.
So if you have season tickets, you're screwed.
That's something that nobody wants.
And and they're not going to lower the prices either. Like you're going to be paying the same amount for, say it's a 18-game season. You're going to be paying the same amount for 9 games.
At least
even if there's only 8.
At least with a destination wedding, you're going to go. The people are going to get married. You're going to have a good meal, and you're going to go to a party and probably get laid. Okay, if destination football game, first of all, your team might lose, and it may not be fun, may not be a good product. There's very little to entice me to go to a destination football game overseas.
There were 5 this last season, 3 in London, 1 in Sao Paulo, and 1 in Germany. The Patriots had 1 in London this past year. So, and Robert Kraft is gung-ho to travel. He had 1 in Germany a couple of years ago, right?
Worked out really well for him.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the point. I mean, the Patriots are in line to lose a home game more often than not, especially if the NFL expands out sometime in the future to 16 international games. That means half the league gets at least 1.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's not ideal.
So this is the final thing here. A new owner or minority owner in the league apparently is just doing everything right. That person is Tom Brady, and juggling his roles as an analyst on Fox and being part owner of the Raiders. And Roger just couldn't be more pleased with how he's handling that.
Everybody in the National Football League, owner to personnel, is still subject to tampering rules and other policy. They're responsible for that conduct, and they're all held accountable for that. Tom has been incredibly cooperative. He calls frequently about it and says, "Am I doing okay?" And I think he's serious about making sure that he separates these two and he doesn't put the league or anyone in a position of conflict.
Well, he obviously got Pete Carroll, so there's a lot of eyes on him.
Is he calling Fox and asking, "Am I doing okay?"
That's where the call should go.
I wonder if that's why he hired Pete Carroll, to take any evidence of tampering away. He's like, look, I hired a 74-year-old guy. Like, what do you think, I'm tampering?
Yeah.
Why would I settle on this old guy? All right. Well, look, that's a lot of fun. We'll see what happens with all of that. Bert Breer is set to join us for the next hour. We'll have him.
That's at
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock.
Well, it says Breer here on this sheet. Someone effed up big time. Not on this sheet. On this sheet.
Hey, he's in New Orleans. He's an hour behind, so he's at 8 o'clock.
No, Fred, we have a big contest, and today's the final day.
Oh, yeah.
Do you?
Do you?
Because 30 seconds ago you thought Breer was going to be here in a minute.
What's it say on the sheet at 7 o'clock?
I can't read that far.
It says Breer.
I won't even look at it.
Yeah.
Someone's got hell to pay. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Touch.
the media yesterday he does not expect Hampus Lindholm to return before the upcoming break for the Four Nations face-off. Celtics play tonight as well. It's a big one in Cleveland against the best team in the NBA. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 here, or over on 105.7 rather. WROR. Everyone listed is available for this game for the Green. That includes Peyton Pritchard, who missed Sunday's win in Philadelphia. In other team news, it appears Boston native and Philadelphia Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie is not going to try and purchase the franchise. He told the media last night he's not interested at this time. Lurie was speaking at the NFL's opening night in New Orleans, where the team he currently owns gets ready to play Kansas City in the Super Bowl Sunday night. The Chiefs are back in this game yet again. It seems as if the country is against it, and that's fine with Patrick Mahomes.
I don't even think it's embracing being the villains. We embrace who we are, and we believe we play the game the right way. We believe that we play with a lot of heart and a lot of passion for the game, and then we win football games. And if winning football games makes you a villain, we're going to keep going out there and doing it.
Patriots have hired former Jets assistant Todd Downing as their wide receivers coach. Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is now expected to be the next head coach in New Orleans. And at the Beanpot, it's going to be Boston College against Boston University in the final Monday night at TD Garden. BCB two-time defending champion Northeastern late last night, 8-2 after BU blew out Harvard 7-1. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, 24-hour on-call service for your Clyde Drain emergencies. Go to johnsewer.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
New England plays here.
Ball down the right side. It's a separation. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub. Fred describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Toucher and Hardy continues on the Sports.
He used to stay overnight, and there was an old man taking a dump in a bedpan while 2 nurses helped him. God bless nurses. Jesus Christ. What horror.
Amen.
That was. Yeah, you like that, all right?
Yeah, I do like that. Love the nurses.
And so I go to Adam because he's a expert in prairie medicine.
That was very funny when you said that.
Yeah. So, I said, I need you to look at this. It's prairie medicine. He's out there on those hikes at national parks. There's not a doctor
12, medicine man.
Yeah, there's not a doctor for miles away. So he's got to fashion medicine out of tree bark and
that's what I said.
Eggs.
Chew up a little tree bark and you'll make a pumice of it, put it right on that ankle for you.
Yeah, but he said to get a Theragun, which I thought was very interesting because those aren't cheap, Theraguns. And so my son has one, but I don't feel like dealing with it. But I got one. It arrives today. So if anyone's worried about it, it arrives today.
Just remember, start in a low setting, okay? Low setting.
Yeah, and then he goes, there's something called Tiger Balm. And I'm like, no kidding. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, how do you know from Theragun? Is there one in the community share shack where you can get like a rake or like a shovel or maybe like a push mower?
I bought when the Bed Bath & Beyond in the next town over was going out of business, I bought one there for 50% off.
Wow.
Do you have one of those things that give a book, take a book in your front yard?
For years we did. We took it to the kids are like too old to give a crap about it now, so we took it down. But we absolutely had a little free library right in front of the house.
Yeah. 3 of those in our neighborhood.
It was great because there were a ton of kids in the neighborhood, so they would come and go, and they'd come take books out. It was great.
Every book that everyone's taken a dump with and then wiped and then touched the book again.
Who does that?
There's no amount of time that'll take the germs off that book.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Isn't it funny that that's where we are, that people depended on libraries for so long, and now it's just all I can think of it's being covered in poo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, here's the big deal. We have had 41 entries as of yesterday morning. Now, this all closes off at 10. So conceivably, this will go, at least someone will show up. Steven Singer, IHateStevenSinger.com, has got this big Valentine's Day grand prize Wrapped in Love collection. You understand?
Yep.
That's what I call it when I'm in. I'm wrapped in love.
Hi there.
The Wrapped in Love collection, including necklace, bracelet, and 2 gold-dipped roses from Steven Singer Jewelers, and where the other 4 couples that come in all get a gold rose just for showing up. Mm-hmm. So we are looking in honor of the Bill Belichick relationship with young Jordan, the same name as Big Boy's kid in the song Bombs Over Baghdad. Little baby girl, 4 years, Jordan. Never put my back some of my kids for them. So Jordan and Bill Belichick, they met on an airplane. And it's a little story. is that they're sitting there and Bill's all being gruff and old, and Jordan's just an innocent young girl, but is she? Bill looks over, she's got a book of philosophy sitting right there. And Bill's like, yeah, I like philosophy. And then they go on and they get deep into the Stoic way and start talking about the great philosophers. And he's like, this one is she's cooking with a full deck. But the problem is Bill's got a girlfriend at home, but this girl's like around not that much younger than him. So he's hit the road, Jack.
Trading.
So what he does is he writes in her book his telephone number because they just, to mentor her. And she's got to go back and matriculate on campus. So
give me my number, Klondike 7.
Yeah.
4424.
Yeah. If Hazel answers, it's the cleaning lady. It's the maid.
But if you hear a click, that's a party line. And I don't want to talk to you on a party line.
No, I've been catfished on those before. And so, and now, here they are going strong. She is going to IMG Academy with him and Matt Patricia as they sit there with their arms folded. She will get him to dress up in fun outfits, and they'll take pictures for Instagram. It's a lot of fun. So we're looking for May-December relationships. Now. It doesn't have to be the man that's the older one.
No.
It can be a GILF situation, a GGILF situation. It can be anything. The only rule, and I came up with this, so and I keep mentioning it because I'm a little proud of myself for it. You have to have met as adults because I'm aware of grooming. So I thought of that that pitfall,
Yeah.
You come in here and it's like, yeah, I was her babysitter. And you're like, okay. Well, we didn't date until she was 18. Doesn't matter.
Can't win.
You can't win. No, you're out. So you can't have known them as a child. You could have met them as a child and then gone away. You couldn't have talked to them as a child. So here's the deal. You could be the older woman with a young, a horny old lady with a young stud, as is evidenced in so much pornography nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could be a fancy man with a love of philosophy who met some student from one of the leading Northeast world colleges, and you meet and you start talking, and then you fall in love. We're not looking to break your balls here either. We're looking to have a good time. So if you are a part of one of these relationships, you have until really 10 o'clock this morning to go to the contest page at 985thesportshub.com and sign up. And we will have you in studio on Friday. Steven Singer himself will be here, which is why there's a great deal of pressure on us. And Steven Singer will be here, and because he pays for all this stuff. And then we'll have the couples on, and we'll have a good time, and we'll figure out who gets the grand prize. And it's not just based on age discrepancy.
No. There'll be a whole vetting process, and what we're trying to find is, I guess, the most worthy couple. Of the prizing,
or like fun couple, like the most you'll know it when you see it. Like we got a couple of things in mind to do. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's actually going to be the woman with the biggest breasts. Is going to win.
That narrows it down.
No, no, but we'll have a fun time. It's not. We're not looking to shame anyone here. After all, May, December. After all, what's the chances the age discrepancy is even anywhere close to Bill Belichick?
If we get anything. I would be thrilled if we got something that is half of the age discrepancy between Bill and Jordan.
But even if a guy came in that was 72 with a 25-year-old girlfriend and he had like an overcoat on and like a scarf and like his hair slicked back and smelled of great colognes and had to get going because he was flying out to the Morocco for a business deal, then I'd understand that being exciting to a young lady. Not some fat old gruff prick that looks older than he is. That is what's fascinating about that relationship. I was thinking about Bill Belichick as I did the dishes yesterday.
Really?
How much I'm enjoying this relationship because he treated people so poorly for so long. And now he just treated people awful. He just was awful and disrespectful, publicly awful to them, just terrible to people, just trying to do their job.
Now he's left himself open.
And now he's floating around, acting like a fool, simping for some chick. That's what he's up to. Getting confused on a Ring camera with no shirt on, looking for his car, just a big fool. And we talked to Brian Hoyer. Even the players, they're all texting each other. Can you believe this fat prick He's running around. He can't even find his car. He's in Bridgewater looking for his car. That's all. He's at some apartment complex in Bridgewater looking for his car.
Somewhere over, like, closer to the water.
It was a coastal community.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I had a guy who sent me he was the neighbor.
I remember.
The
I was
neighbor,
here that
and he
day.
sent me like Google Maps. It looked like how they break down the Zapruder film.
Yeah.
Like he was Kennedy was going down this way. Like he had it all like mapped out. And someone was like, "Wow, that guy's a psycho." And I'm like, someone like listener, I'm like, I go, that guy's not a psycho. That guy lives next door to where Bill Belichick had his shirt off. Like, this is all good information.
Yeah.
This is all incredible. But yeah, he's at some flop house that some 22-year-old chick's in, and he's outside looking for his car. He's all hungover. Oh Jesus, what have I done?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have to wear a rubber. There's no way. It would be almost a miracle if he could get someone pregnant at his age.
God, where was it?
It can't
wasn't
happen.
Hausnick. It was somewhere.
It was in Bridgewater?
No. Bridgewater is...
That's inland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's south of here
Okay.
by a good 40 minutes.
Well, that doesn't mean it wasn't Bridgewater,
Well, no,
just
what I'm
because it was
saying,
south of here by
south
40
of
minutes.
here,
It wasn't
not close
Hull.
to the coast.
It wasn't on the Cape. You're looking at islands, and it wasn't an island.
No, I'm looking at the coastal areas around Quincy.
Okay.
That's
yeah,
where
yeah,
it was.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, there you go.
It wasn't in Rhode Island?
No,
I don't think
No,
so.
the part of the reason aside, it would have been funny anywhere, but it wasn't like Newport or something. He was
it
at
was just
like
like a
obviously at
neighborhood,
like some, where 22-year-old women live. Like they live in like crappy like apartments. I lived in a crappy apartment. That's where you live. Bill Belichick, 73-year-old, worth $100 million. He doesn't, him shirtless on the porch of some, and Lord knows while he was at her place. Like in a million years, I wouldn't go to that girl's place. In a million years, you're coming to my house.
Hardy, what's the movie with Michael Douglas and he's got to go get his daughter from the flop house and she's literally like
Traffic.
Yes, it reminds me of that kind of apartment.
Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna ask Beetle. Beetle had it down to is that the square inch?
Oh, he did. Yeah, Beatles good about
King of
that
the
kind
South
of stuff. Yeah, Beatles good about that stuff. He gets it going.
Hope I'm not waking him up.
So anyway, I would hope not. Well, anyway, look, this is the deal. You can go to 985thesportshub.com, go to the contest page, and we're just looking for May, December romances. More to celebrate them than anything else. And that will be going on. So fantastic. We have that going. Chris Mannix is going to join us. After all, the big news is this Luka Doncic trade. Maybe Mannix knows something we don't know.
He was all fired up when this happened.
Yeah, what's going to happen? What's going on? That's what we're looking for. So we'll talk to Chris Mannix in just a moment.
Touch.
all of this. Obviously, he's not the majority owner anymore. He's still in the mix, though. You think he's thrilled about this?
I texted him and I said, I'm so confused. And he wrote back, that makes two of us. So that kind of tells you right there, he wasn't involved.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Who's that talking? I was half listening because I was asking you a question.
Chandler Parsons.
And he's talking about Luka Doncic, who apparently cried. And one of his teammates said he just bought a $14 million house. Like in whatever, you can go, oh, $14 million. But, I mean, if you buy a house, this has got to be embarrassing for Luka Doncic. Bottom line is that it's embarrassing. And we'll figure out why it happened. Chris Mannix is a good friend of ours, senior writer for Sports Illustrated. Hello, Chris. Thank you for joining us.
What's happening, guys?
Are you and Eddie House okay? You guys went at it pretty good a couple of nights ago.
I didn't quite get the... look, we can discuss and unpack why Dallas did this, and I've got a pretty firm grasp on the whys. I don't buy into it at all, and I didn't really get the Eddie's argument there at all. And even from over a Zoom, I couldn't sit there and just, absorb it.
Okay. All right. So you guys had the argument over the Doncic trade and the whys, or how it will work out. That's basically what the argument was?
Yes.
Okay. So looking at this from afar, it makes no sense unless there's something going on with Doncic that maybe not everyone's up to date with, but you cover the NBA. You work for a big outlet. What are you hearing? Why did this happen?
There is nothing going on with Luka Doncic that we don't know something about. There's the two key reasons that this deal was done. And again, I disagree vehemently with these reasons. Was one, over the last few years, as has been well chronicled, Luka Doncic has kind of a dad bod. He lets himself go at times during the off season. When he's injured in season, he has a tendency to let himself go a little bit. His conditioning has been an issue. Now, all that being said, even in this state that he's in, conditioning-wise, he's been first team All-NBA each of the last 5 seasons, and he just dragged your rather average team to the NBA Finals last year, going 12-5 in the Western Conference playoffs. But there were concerns internally, beginning with Nico Harrison at the top, that this might be problematic to commit $350 million over the next 5 years to. That's a big part of it. The second part is the calculus in Dallas is that to get through this current version of the Western Conference, you need to be bigger. Denver's still out there as a threat with Nikola Jokic having an MVP year. And Oklahoma City, and I'm in Oklahoma now, they don't have many weaknesses, but they have been susceptible to size, during the year. Maybe that becomes moot when Chet Holmgren comes back and they can play 2 7-footers at times. But when they struggle, sometimes it's because they have size. Now, you get Anthony Davis, you have Derek Lively, you've got Daniel Gafford, P.J. Washington. You've got more size up front. Those are the two reasons. And again, I don't agree with either one of them. Luka Doncic is a transcendent 25-year-old talent. And if you're telling me you can't, figure out a way to keep him off fast food over the next 5 years, and that's the reason for dealing him away from what I see as a rather pedestrian package in a trade, I don't know what to tell you.
Why did they only deal with the Lakers, and if so, why?
They wanted Anthony Davis. Like this, look, if they had opened this thing up, they could have got back the largest package of young players and draft picks that anyone has ever gotten. I mean, you think about some of these recent deals. Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Paul George when he left Oklahoma City, Mikal Bridges in New York. These guys yielded 3, 4, 5 first-round draft picks. Luka Doncic, and I've talked to some executives from teams where, they would have gutted their rosters to have a chance at Luka. What they couldn't offer, though, is a player of the talent of Anthony Davis, who's having an outstanding year in the second consecutive healthy, all-NBA caliber year. This is the Mavericks saying, we believe we can open up a 3-year championship window. And I hate even using those words, open up, because it is open. Like, they just got to the finals. And you guys watched every game of that Celtics-Mavericks series. Like, Luka's conditioning and the defense of the team is the other part of it. They want to get better defensively. The defense is in the finals was not in the top 10 of the reasons they lost to the Celtics. They lost to the Celtics because Kyrie, Boston fans are still in Kyrie's head, and he played poorly in the first couple of games. Luka played terrible in Game 3 overall, but they only gave up, more than 107 points in one game of that series. In the entire playoffs last year, they were 5th in the NBA among the playoff teams in defensive efficiency. I just, their argument is you get AD, you pair him with Kyrie, you get, that bigger front line, and you've got an opportunity here to win a championship for the next 3 years. The counter argument that I've heard from everybody is you already did. And you had not only a chance to win championships for 3 years, but because you had figured out, the formula of guys that need to play opposite Luka Doncic, you could have had a 10-year runway to compete for titles.
All right, so from a basketball perspective, this year, all right, so look, it doesn't make any sense. We'll get into it. But from a basketball, we'll get more into it. But from a basketball perspective this year, what is the better tandem in terms of winning games right now? LeBron James and Luka Doncic, or Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis?
I would say, look, as we sit here talking on, God, what day is it? Tuesday. I would say Kyrie and Anthony Davis, because when healthy, that version of the Mavericks is a more complete team. AD is going to help them defensively. Kyrie's still a great scorer, and that is still the guts of a team that went to the finals. Luka was a big reason, but that's still the guts of a team. The Lakers, and look, both these teams are aggressive right now trying to do a deal. The Lakers need somebody in that front court. I mean, their front court is Jackson Hayes, Christian Koloko, and Rui Hachimura, and Christian Wood maybe if he comes back. Both these teams are trying to upgrade. But the Lakers right now, as currently constituted, to win games, they're probably going to have to score 175 points a game because there isn't a player. Jared Vanderbilt is the only defensive-minded guy on that team. So they are not a championship team right now. Could they reinvent themselves in the offseason or even at the trade deadline? Yes, but right now they're not. The Mavericks, if fully healthy, and they've got a million injury issues as well. Like Derek Lively's out for probably the rest of the regular season. But if they get everybody back, you can see them, making a run in the Western Conference playoffs. So right now, the better tandem is Kyrie and AD, but that's, as you guys know, that's just a fraction of this story.
Yeah. All right. So now all this stuff is coming about Nico Harrison, the general manager for the Mavericks, and that he effed up his deal with Nike and with Steph Curry and whatever. Like, no one had ever heard of him. You and I'd probably. But, none of us pedestrians had heard of him. Is he just like a stupid guy? I mean, like, what's going on? Like, what's the league's opinion on Nico Harrison? Do they think he's out of his mind?
No. Well, yes, in this context.
Right.
He's not stupid, right?
Right.
Because the deals he's made up until this point, and he's been pretty aggressive before every single trade deadline over the last few years, it paid off to the point where they were in the finals last year. Like, he took a big swing on Kyrie. It worked. He got them P.J. Washington before the trade deadline. That worked. Daniel Gafford before the trade deadline last year. That worked. So he's made good deals, and he built a team that went 12-5 in the Western Conference playoffs last year. Didn't go 7 games with any team in the West. That's not nothing. Like, they accomplished something last year. This though is just widely viewed as crazy. It just is, because you're betting that over the next 5 years that Luka's conditioning is going to keep him from living up to his potential, from being the guy that we've seen. Like the conditioning issues, it's not what they're not connecting it to is poor play necessarily on the court. It does bother them that he's not good defensively, but I encourage you to watch Nikola Jokic's games. Like, he's not good defensively either. Sometimes that happens with star players, superstar players, especially ones that carry the offensive burden that a guy like Luka Donic does. Their issue is that if he's not in shape, stuff like the calf injury he's dealing with right now are going to come up more and more, and he's going to have long stretches of games where he's out. They're betting that, from now until the age of 30 or whatever, that Luka is going to be dealing with stuff like this. And that to me, and to virtually everybody that I've talked to, and believe me, in the last 3 or 4 days, I've talked to half the league, it feels like. That is crazy. It is crazy to everyone that I've talked to that they weren't willing to make the kind of financial commitment that everybody else would make. Like, everybody's looking at this, wow, you have to pay him $350 million. Now the goal for the Dallas Mavericks is to acquire or draft somebody else that you can get to the point where you have to pay him $350 million.
You don't get that lucky twice. There's no chance.
Not like the happiest guy in the world right now, guys, is like Vlade Divac, who is no longer the guy that traded away or didn't take Luka Doncic. Like, Vlade is somewhere over in Eastern Europe, probably going like, well, the heat's off me now. This is now Nico Harrison that made the worst mistake when it comes to Luka Doncic.
Is there any way LeBron didn't know about this before it happened?
When I first heard that reporting, I didn't believe it, because there's just no way. But the more people I've talked to inside both organizations, nobody really knew about it. Like, this was as closed hold as you get. This was quite literally a deal done at the highest level between the Lakers and the Mavericks, and a deal that fundamentally was done between Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka. And like the magic of all this for the Lakers and Rob Pelinka, and media doesn't vote for Executive of the Year, but he to me, he wrapped that award up, this past week. But Rob Pelinka being able to convince the Mavericks to only take one of the 2 first-round picks that they had available at the deal is also wild. Like, doing the deal for AD, give up AD's fine, Max Christie, whatever. This is what you do. But the Mavericks' inability to not be able to extract maximum draft capital value, not that you want to use them, but to trade them down the line to continue to get better, is another wild factor of this deal. So that's a long-winded way of kind of answering your question. I do believe that LeBron, AD, everyone involved was largely blindsided by all this, because this was as top secret a discussion. I mean, look, Danny Ainge and the Jazz, they didn't know about this till like 30 minutes or 45 minutes prior to this deal, kind of taking place. So I do believe that everyone involved was surprised when this deal went down.
Okay, so Doncic is surprised. How embarrassing is this for him?
It's embarrassing, and he's going to speak to the media today. It's more embarrassing because over the last 72 hours, like, it's almost been painted like he's walking around looking like Peter Griffin. Like, he's being painted as this out of shape fat guy that has going to have huge problems in the NBA. He's getting painted with the old Joel Embiid brush right now, when it's not like this team came up short last year. Like, he was a dominant player who took them to the finals. Like, so all these reports that I'm seeing out there, and I'm hearing the same things coming out of Dallas, that he had problems with conditioning, that the Mavericks had some friction with Team Luka and the strength and conditioning guys that every superstar player has running with them internally within organizations. There was issues with that. Like, he's being painted with this brush that he's just grotesquely out of shape, and this is going to become a career-long problem, when the reality, it couldn't be further from the truth. So it is embarrassing right now, but that embarrassment, guys, is going to wash away very quickly when he hits L.A. and starts playing like Luka Doncic. Now, I don't know. There's a lot more that needs to be kind of done with the Lakers. And I'll be honest, I don't think the Lakers did this with this idea that they can figure out a way to make it work with LeBron in mind. I don't think the Lakers cared. I think they had an opportunity to add the next generation of superstar to their roster, a guy that will carry them into the 2030s, and said, you know what, we'll do it, and we'll figure everything else out later.
Okay. This video is going around again of Luka after the Western Conference Finals. He's drinking a beer, and someone takes it out of his hands, someone from the Mavericks. So
Michael Finley, yeah.
Yeah. So there's no substance abuse issue. There's nothing we're going to find out about that is more severe than just he's out of shape.
No, I'd be shocked, honestly. This is simply the Mavericks just betting that they can win a title with Anthony Davis over the next few years. And again, they have a better chance of doing it with this mix than they did with Luka, and having concerns that if they pay him, $350 million in an extension, that he's not going to live up with it, which is, again, is just it's just an absolutely insane bet. I mean, you watched him firsthand, and yeah, he had that terrible Game 3 in the NBA Finals. That was a clunker, but he is one of the greatest offensive players I've ever seen, and has the ability to be that guy for the next 6, 7, 8 years. And he's going to make the Lakers a contender for the next 6, 7, 8 years. There is no issue with Luka Donic beyond the Mavericks thinking that his conditioning is going to be problematic.
Well, very interesting. Well, Chris, great guest, and appreciate you getting to us early in the morning in Oklahoma. We appreciate it so much. Everyone read Chris Mannix in Sports Illustrated, NBC Sports Boston. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
You got it, guys.
All right, there you go. Chris Mannix.
That makes it, if what he says is right and Chris is as plugged in as anyone who covers the sport, it's insane what just happened.
Yeah, it's insane.
There's nothing else. There's no other story. It's just they're worried about conditioning.
Worried about conditioning and kind of like doing his own thing. Not great communication. Another thing that I read that between his teams. So he's kind of.
But as Chris pointed out, that's every superstar. Every superstar is surrounded by trainers that have friction with what the team wants.
Right.
I mean, it's daily behavior by every great player in the NBA, and the Mavericks couldn't handle that. That they just traded a 25-year-old superstar who might be one of the better players ever to play this game. It traded him in his prime for someone that closes their window. Yeah, they have a window to win a championship, but Kyrie and Anthony Davis are both in their 30s. This is not good by any stretch. And, Dallas, I don't care if they have Anthony Davis. Dallas, I'm not convinced Dallas makes the Western Conference Finals.
No.
I mean, Denver
they
came up short. Minnesota's been playing lousy, but they're lurking out there.
We have to break. If we can even continue talking about this, it's so bizarre. I was under the assumption that something else has got to come out because it doesn't make any sense.
That was surprising that Mannix was so definitive that there isn't.
Yeah, because you figure that you would have at least gotten both first-round picks.
Yeah, that's the other part of it. There are so many other nooks and crannies to this we haven't even thought about.
Right.
The fact that Dallas didn't demand both first-round picks is also insane.
Yeah, it's weird. All right, so that's going on. All right, when we come back, there's a mystery to be solved. That's one thing one place we could go, and also we have some news for you. Breer is going to join us for the 8 o'clock hour. We'll be right back.
Sports Hub headline. Start your
Got your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom right.
Toucher and Hardy. And we are presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every...
I can see you've read it cover to cover.
I don't know. It looks very self-published, but who knows? I haven't opened the envelope, but...
Why don't you open the envelope? Well,
that's Nicholas's job.
No, well, he's going to come in here eventually.
You want me to send him in?
Yeah, please.
Bring him in.
Here he comes.
No, he has a theme song. You got to do one of the Nick Walk ones.
Oh, I didn't know there was
That's just
Nick.
Misty. There we go.
There he is.
All right, there you go.
Thank God you're here.
Look at those thighs.
Don't make him self-conscious.
Don't stop. Open the box yet.
Don't open the
Jesus.
box yet. Oh, yeah. Is that whose knife is that?
That's Adam's.
Mine.
Adam
I
left
gave it to
in.
Hardy.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
This is a whole thing.
Now, Adam's knife is coming in very handy.
What did I tell you?
No, he refuses to let Hardy open it another way. This is a preemptive strike in case Hardy thought he
Okay.
could do it with a key.
All right, so
this
Nick,
is-
you're chomping at the bit here.
Yeah, just easy.
All right, so
What kind of
Hardy, you're the guy that would know this. How
Don't
would
go
you?
leaping at the clitoris like a bull at a Cape Sun. What about a kiss? A simple kiss.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, this is two-stroke joke. All right, so here's the deal. Hardy, you are the man to say this. How big a box we talking about over here?
That is 2.5 feet by 14 inches.
Okay. All right.
It's a large box.
It's a large
Yeah.
box. Now, Nick, who does it say it's from?
It doesn't.
Okay, so this is where the mystery comes in.
Okay, it is from Philadelphia, though.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so isn't Steven Singer in Philadelphia?
Yes.
But I don't think Steven Singer would send something in a box that looks like that.
And that is being repurposed. Like
Right,
it's a
you
box
can
that
see
had something else in it.
They have a big X. As a description on the side, there's a big X through.
Yeah. So Nick just gets his hand in there. He doesn't care.
All right, so yeah, pull out the shipping label. If there's anything that gives it away, I don't want you to read it. All right, just a Philadelphia return address.
Yeah. All right. So
Okay.
here we go.
All right.
Here, wait.
What's in the box?
Yeah, we're about to find out what's in the box.
So Nick is using Adam's knife. He's very proud of this. The knife that Adam keeps on him at all times.
Much like
For
Geraldo.
just the situation.
That's right, John.
Opening the vault.
Nick he's very. You can tell he's done this before. This is a kid who knows how to. And he put the knife back with tape still on it.
With tape stuck
That's
to the
okay.
blade.
Don't worry, Nick. Don't worry about that. I'll take care of that later. You just focus on the bit. That's
All right,
fine.
so here we. All right, so here we go. He's opening the box. There is.
Box break.
Oh, it is from Steven Singer.
Oh.
How about that?
All right.
What is it?
Box break.
It's the roses.
Oh.
All right, so there you go. For our big contest coming up on Friday with our friend Steven Singer.
Can we look at one of these roses?
Oh, I don't know. It would be too much.
Ruin the integrity of the contest.
All right. Well, look at what a fun advertisement that was for Steven Singer without our knowledge. I mean, we had a big box just sitting right there, and we thought we'd have at it. All right. There you go. Congratulations. All right. So, John, this Doncic thing has got you going crazy.
I don't get it. I don't understand any of this. Even right down to the Doncic LeBron, how they coexist. I was reading this morning that LeBron may now stick around because Doncic is here. That's not the case at all. I think LeBron is upset that they just traded his buddy. This is Rob Pelinka fully saying not only can we get a generational player, this will usher us into a new era. LeBron, you can't tell me what to do now.
Yeah, this is obviously for when LeBron retires.
And I think LeBron is now closer to that than he was before. He's not going to hang around until the Lakers can fashion players to fit around Luka.
Well, yeah, because even Manx agrees the team is worse now than it was. So you just,
the offense
if
is
I'm
now
LeBron,
completely changed.
And then people are like, LeBron wasn't getting around along with Anthony Davis, whatever. But like, if you are 40 and you've already played with your kid and gotten that whole sideshow circus over. And now you want to win, obviously, like you only got so much time left.
You're further
They just
away.
made it. Yeah, right. They
Because you
just
have
made it.
zero. Now, look, maybe, and Manx brought this up, maybe they go get a center somehow. I don't know what assets they possibly have.
They have another first-round pick.
Made that other first-round pick, but is that going to bring you back a center that's going to help? I don't know. That's the thing. That first-round pick isn't going to be a lottery pick. Is that going to bring you back the center you need to win?
And also, I don't know how much of this you can jam under the cap and all this stuff. Like, there's like a lot of stuff. But, anyway, this move, if you're LeBron, you got to be pissed because this move is to bring your replacement, basically.
Right.
Like, they've just gotten a replacement
They
that
traded away your buddy. You're no closer to a championship. You're playing with a guy who runs an offense completely differently than anybody else in the NBA. LeBron's going to have to stand off to the side and let Luka dribble around for a while.
they brought in like a redundancy, basically. They brought
Much different situation.
I keep going back and forth on this. As unthinkable as it was to me that LeBron didn't know about this, he hasn't said anything. He has said next to nothing about it, except for pushing back on the one report that he and Anthony Davis had friction last year.
Well, today is the day. Today is the day Luka meets the media, and the Lakers will play, and they'll ask LeBron, and he'll be forced to say something. You can't say no comment after a deal like this.
Yeah. This cold rose is something. I don't know how they do that. I'd like to watch the process, Fred. See how they dip that rose, and then it's painted where the leaves are. Those are green, and
I'm
then
sure they'll fly you down to Central America to see that whole process.
the rose is red on top, and it's just it's all trimmed in the 24-karat gold there. Something else.
How many roses in that box? Just the one?
No. There's got to be 5 because there's 5 couples and they each get a rose.
Okay.
And then at the end, someone gets a big to get it involved in the contest. 10 o'clock this morning. Go to the contest page at 985thesportshub.com. We're looking for May-December relationships like Bill Belichick.
I was just talking about the thin box he had, not the big box. I'm sure there are more in the big box.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. That's an individual rose.
Individual rose box. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go. All right. Well, look. You called it, Hardy. You said it's from Philadelphia. Isn't that where Steven Singer's from? And then we went, and then I thought, yep.
You know how I figured it out, John?
How'd you figure it out?
I deduced it.
Yes.
What do you think?
You're really good at that.
What do you think the reaction from the audience would have been? I'm being serious. If Nick opens that box and there's a small explosion and it blinds him, and so we're on the air with the joke is that Nick's opening this box
break,
and he opens it and there's a small bomb that triggers when you open it and it blinds Nick. Like a big flash pot comes up and it blinds Nick.
Yeah.
And we're unscathed. Do you think we get some heat or do you think we're in tomorrow?
No, I think you get a lot of heat.
We're definitely on the air tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wonder if we catch heat.
If we get in trouble? No.
No,
Because
you get a call from the boss. Oh, I didn't like that.
Oh, boy, you should. I warned you about flash pots. I warned you guys.
That's very irresponsible.
Stop opening boxes. That's Radio 101. All right. Very good. Thank you, Nicholas, for opening that. It's funny because I have Nick open up all this stuff because I'm too chicken. And Nick doesn't care. But
You
then
wouldn't
I'm
even
wondering,
open that envelope that came with your book.
I don't like it. My mail carrier, Tony, who I'm very fond of.
Nice.
Thank you. No, I didn't.
You actually know your mail carrier's name.
Yes, I do.
Good.
I did. I gave him money for Christmas.
Good.
Tony. I talk to him quite often while I'm walking the dog. They're out here in Massachusetts. They're not trapped in a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Tony's he's got to touch all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Think about when you're putting envelopes, what's on your hands. You have no care for it, So there you go. All right. Bert Breer is going to join us. He is in New Orleans, so he's joining us a few days early. We'll talk to him in just a moment.
More Toucher and Hardy on. This is your home for every Patriots game.
Look into the end zone, try to keep the play alive. Falling down, he throws to the end zone. It's caught. He's got it. Touchdown.
WBZ-FM and HD Boston. 98.5, the Sports Hub. A Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
Bruins will wrap up a 3-game homestand tonight when they play the Minnesota Wild at TD Garden. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30, the face-off at 7. You're on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Interim head coach Joe Sacco announced yesterday that defenseman Hampus Lindholm is not expected back until the team's upcoming 2-week break for the Four Nations face-off. As for the Patriots, they have hired former Jets assistant Todd Downing as their wide receivers coach. That closes the door on a possible reunion with Wes Welker. The LA Rams have told Cooper Kupp they intend to trade him. Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is now expected to become the next head coach in New Orleans. Celtics play in Cleveland tonight against the Cavaliers. They have the best record in the NBA at 40-9. Everyone is listed as available for the green for this one. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 over on 105.7 WROR. Philadelphia Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie was reportedly one of the people in the running to purchase the Celtics, but he said last night at the Super Bowl that he's not interested at this time. The Eagles and Kansas City both met the media after arriving on Sunday. The Chiefs are going to make NFL history if they win. However, Travis Kelce or Andy Reid says he's not interested in that right now.
Yeah, you don't have time to think about all that. You're focused in on the job at hand here, and that's playing against a great Eagles team.
Finally, at the Beanpot, 2 blowout wins last night. BC blew away Northeastern 8-2 in the first round. They'll play BU for the championship Monday night. Terriers beat Harvard 7-1. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Rodenheiser Home Services and their expert remodel team. Schedule a free consultation today to redefine your space. Rodenheiser.com/remodel. Rodenheiser Home Services, nice people, great service since 1928. I'm John Wallach at Boston Tone for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Boston plays here.
Coming through the slot. Close shot. Save. Rebound. Score.
98.5 The Sports Hub. Hey, listen, if you've got to go, we understand, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Todger and Hardy.
That's what I want on my tombstone.
On the Sports Hub.
The Chiefs, with their 15 wins, 15-2 this year, 11 of those 15 games were within one score. And I think that talks about the competitiveness of our game and the importance of how we officiate it, but also the competitiveness of how we play it.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Our coverage of Super Bowl 59 is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Bert Breer, of course, is the senior NFL reporter and lead content strategist for the MMQB. Him and Manx the same day. We're tapping that well. Getting Down to Business with Bert Breer is presented by Bentley University, where good business begins and leaders come to learn. Bert, thank you for joining us from New Orleans. How you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Hey, Bert.
I'm glad I'm not there. So, what's it like around there? I read something that the ticket prices are very reasonable now, and I'm not being sarcastic.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'd actually, somebody had said something about that to me last week, and I actually think a big part of that would probably be how many times the Chiefs have been here. And, if you're a big Chiefs fan and, you've been now a couple times, I mean, it's expensive to come to a Super Bowl once. Are you really going to do it 5 times in 6 years?
Right.
So I think that there's some level of fatigue there where, for one of the fan bases, you just can't come every year. And then I think with the Eagles, it's probably, some of the same. They were here 2 years ago. There's no real newness to it, with either of the fan bases, and I think that's a part of it.
With the Eagle fans, if you go down 2 years ago and you get arrested and you're in jail for the game, what's the point?
And now, maybe you're banned from all NFL events, so you can't go. That might be a problem.
So I saw this Triumph, the insult comic dog, Robert Schmeigel's very funny thing, and he was at the tailgate for the NFC Championship game, and he's like, hey, Redskins shirt. He's like, yeah, it's old school. He's like, old school racism. And then this one Philadelphia fan, he makes like a drunk driving joke. It was the Eagles team YouTube page. It was like awesome. I was like, wow, they're just leaning into this thing. Like it was pretty funny. Like it was funny. Like I couldn't tell. It was edited like so you didn't get the responses, but it was pretty funny. So yeah, that's a despicable fan base. Wow, are they awful. So what's it like there compared to other Super Bowls? I mean, everyone likes it when it's in New Orleans. But is it you were at Media Day? Like a big star.
Yeah, I only went to half of it.
How dare you? You were blown away.
Good for you. You escaped.
Yeah, the setup was not like what I was looking for. I'll put it that way. It was just, I mean, and you guys know this. You guys have been there. It's not for us. It's not for us. You know what I mean? It's for the NFL to put those things on camera and make it look like it's a big deal and sell tickets to the event and all of that different stuff. So
you can ask nutty questions.
That's long ago. That ship has sailed long ago. I've given up trying to turn that into something other than me saying hello to a few people and going on my merry way.
Well, if you ever wonder how the press is treated, the press room is located where at the Superdome?
In the parking garage.
Yeah, they just shoved them in the parking garage.
It's an older building, Fred. They got to make do.
So yeah,
there was no newspaper, or television, or radio back then.
Nope.
Yeah, so we were jammed in the parking garage, which was that was something. And then, so when you go out on the field, and you guys know like what a cluster it is out, on the field or sometimes the basketball court where they are or whatever. Well, for one reason or another, they fenced off the entire field at the Superdome, so everyone was jammed into the sidelines and the little area behind the end zones, and that was it. So you had all of those. The whole carnival is just it's just shoved into the sidelines, and for again, no reason in particular, the entire field is fenced off.
You got to protect that turf. I mean, you can't be trampling all over it.
Yeah, except for the fact that you put a massive stage on the 50-yard line. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, and you got smoke bombs and fireworks going off of it. Wow, that sucks. That Media Day sucks. It's like
one of my least favorite things. It's just, it's not, again, like I've given up on it because it doesn't really serve a purpose for us. You know what I mean?
And you nailed it, Bert. It is for the fans who are able to attend. It's the one time.
I don't know why a fan would go there though.
So they can be in the same room with the players at one point before the actual game.
You have headphones too, where you can listen to.
But they're not allowed on the field.
Yeah, those press conferences are super interesting.
No, I'm not saying this is a joyful occasion, but you're asking why fans would go for the first time. You sit there and you don't know how boring it is until you just click over.
I do try to understand that a little bit better. Like I think one reason why, I guess, if you're a fan, if you wanted to go in and see what a Super Bowl stadium looks like, and you're not going to the game, then maybe it would make some sense. But I mean, it's again, like it's one of these things the NFL does to try to create an event like out of thin air. And there's a lot of awkwardness to it. I would put it that way.
Okay, so they asked Goodell about the 18-game season, and so there's two things that were interesting that he talked about. The 18-game season. When does that happen?
I think it's a good question.
And then when's the Super Bowl?
So the opt-out, I don't have it in front of me, but the opt-out in the broadcast deals is probably, I think it's 2029. So whenever the opt-out is, my guess would be they would want to do it ahead of that so they can plan for reconfiguring the schedule and creating new sort of television packages to sell off of it. So they go to 18 games, for example. I think one thing they would try to do is have 16 international games every year. So essentially every team in the league would play an international game every year. You'd give up a home game once every 2 years. And then you can sell that package, because a lot of those games are at 9:30 in the morning. So,
did the owners like that? Did they even mind missing the gate for the international game?
They like the television money that comes with it.
That's more important than the gate, like the international.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I don't think they all. I mean, over the years, they've all kind of. There have been teams that have fought against giving up a home game, for sure, and there were. I think. It's either the Steelers or Packers hadn't given up one until recently. Cowboys, same thing. Cowboys may still not have given up one, but now they're.
You got 100,000 seat stadium, and everyone's buying beer.
Right, but now, now they have to. Like there's a rule in place now that once every 4 years you have to give up one which makes it so they can play 8 games every year internationally. And I think that eventually goes to 16, and then they sell that as a separate television entity, a separate television deal. I mean, that's a huge part of what this is. And then I think the other thing is they eventually do want to put a team over there. Now, the travel logistics have sort of prevented them from doing that. But that ultimately is the goal. Is like how can we put a team over there permanently? Which of course, is another way to create more revenue. They've been pretty aggressive about expanding the game.
They need to get Elon Musk on it. You find some rocket ship.
5 seconds.
I wonder how much.
I mean, that honestly, like that's the funny thing about it is like when they first started the international series in 2007, their goal was to put a team in London by 2022. It was a 15-year plan, and like air travel is the reason why they haven't been able to do it because logistically it would be too hard. And it's not even like the regular season games. It's like if that team makes the playoffs, how do you schedule that? You know what I mean? How do you if that London team plays Seattle, say, was that like an 11-hour flight? You know what I mean?
Probably more,
Yeah, so like you create all kinds of logistical issues with planning and everything else.
I hope they're not depending too much on teams being able to sell team-sponsored packages and trips that include the flight, the game, and the hotel, because I've seen the price tags on some of those things. And once people do it, it's not like you're going to be doing that every single year, and that's going to become something you would do normally. I can't imagine it would be.
Yeah, I don't think that's really it. I mean, they're more focused on, again, like
the
just
TV,
the TV, and then also like getting fans over there into it. Like the Jaguars, for example, have really, I mean, which Shad's owns a soccer team over there, and like they've really tried to make it so like they have some sort of fan base over there. And they were thought of as a team that if it wasn't going to be expansion, that could eventually move over there. And they're playing 2 games a year over there now, So, I think it's the way the NFL looks at it is, and this is why they're I don't think they'll ever expand again domestically, is because what you would need to do for those guys to agree to grow to expand domestically is to if you go to 34 teams, you have to grow it by that percentage at least, and then add some, right? There's got to be some financial benefit for the other teams to doing that. And again, like domestically, I think that's really hard. Internationally, you can see where that could happen, where, if you're putting teams in London or, somewhere in Germany, like then there is
why Germany
that sort of financial benefit.
You get a football game in Germany, you forget about all that pesky Hitler stuff.
Oh, it's sports washing?
It's sports washing, absolutely.
Yeah, 80 years.
I see your plan, Germany.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing. I don't forgive you. All right, go ahead, Jonathan.
I'm just wondering, Bert, the NFL continues to push the envelope. They want a team overseas. They want 18 games. They want this, that, and the other thing. Do you think there's ever going to be a limit? Is there a line? Because it seems like if you expand as much as the NFL wants to, you kind of lose the core of what you started with.
Yeah, I felt forever like one of the NFL's greatest strengths, advantages, whatever you want to call it, is the scarcity of the product, is that you don't get a ton of it. It's not on every night.
Yeah.
So, like, you really value it when you do get it. I think we all, like all of us here at least, we all, followed all the sports growing up. I feel like as an adult, it's almost work following baseball. You know what I mean? And basketball and hockey can feel that way too, where there's so much to keep up with. Football's easier to follow than the other sports because there's less of it, And I think, we're sort of an ADD generation, our generation, right, guys? Like, the generation below us is like so much further.
Good luck getting them reading a book.
Yeah,
right.
They're like, what's this thing?
Right. So, like, if you're looking at where, like, the American public is and like that, the fact that you're not asking somebody for the commitment where they have to watch 3 or 4 nights a week, or in the case of baseball, like every night for 6 months.
Well, you
I think
say
it's a huge
3 or 4
advantage
nights
they
a
have.
week, Bert, but there are games Thursdays, there are games Mondays, Sundays, Saturdays, and now the season is headed towards Valentine's Day and beyond. It just seems like it's not so scarce
Yeah, I'm
anymore.
worried about them like screwing up my ski trip every year. So
Okay. Well,
no, I look. It is. I don't know how much further they can go without infringing on that, but it seems like everything everything they sort of put in front of everybody, even if it's a bad product, like I think like some of the midweek stuff was really rough at first, and teams have sort of adapted to it. And it does make me wonder, like, where that line is. Because here's the thing is, like, I think what the American public has shown us is all you really have to do is put football on TV. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, like, oh, well, that's too crappy a product for people to watch. Like, people bitch about, with Mahomes and the penalties, people bitch and moan, like, sun up to sundown on that stuff, right? Like, and this product is getting really bad. You know what they're doing the next Sunday? They're tuning right back in.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I don't. That's the thing is like I think just putting football on TV. I think they figured out like it doesn't even need to be a great product, and so as teams were adapting to playing in the middle of the week and what they did this year with Christmas, it's like. Even if those games aren't very good, people will still tune in and watch them.
Yeah, especially if you put them on Peacock.
And the NFL will get attention. The NFL will get attention from conversation about how bad it was.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like it's like
people are paying
Jerry
attention.
Jones thing.
Yeah.
Is it that Jerry Jones thing? It's like where like all publicity is good publicity. You know what I mean? Like, and it does feel like. Even if it weakens the product, even if it makes it more difficult on the players, even if it shortens careers, even if it's hard to watch at times, even if the game is so lawyered up that like there are times when it's painful to see the way it's being officiated, like what the public has shown us, like America loves football. I mean, and the NFL is number one in this country, and it's not close. And college football right now is number two. And I think college football, I think it's like there's like a gap now between college football and Major League Baseball and NBA and NHL, and I think it's a tribute to America's obsession with the sport, and it almost doesn't matter what form of the sport you put on television, people will watch.
All right. Well, Bert Breer is there in New Orleans. We will continue talking to him in just a moment. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Valentine's Day is here, and I know
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
Sports Hub.
Everybody in the National Football League, owner to personnel, is still subject to tampering rules and other policy. They're responsible for that conduct, and they're all held accountable for that. Tom has been incredibly cooperative. He calls frequently about it and says, am I doing okay? And I think he's serious about making sure that he separates these two and he doesn't put the league or anyone in a position of conflict.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and Bert Breer is in beautiful New Orleans, Louisiana, talking to us from the Media Radio Row. Bert, Myles Garrett put out a lovely letter to the people of Cleveland saying as much as he loved them in the town, it's time for him to leave. They've talked to the Browns GM, whoever that is, and he says he's not trading Myles Garrett. What's going on with that situation?
Yeah, I think like the fact that this went public is a sign of where things are, because the trade request didn't just go in. So the fact that he would go public is a sign that he's frustrated that the Browns basically said they were going to stand their ground and they weren't going to trade him. And so now we have a bit of a standoff. What the effect of going public with the trade demand is that now the Browns don't even have to pick up the phone at all. Now other teams are going to call, and I'm sure Andrew Berry's phone is ringing off the hook now because of the player that he is. And, I mean, there are very few guys like Myles Garrett. One of the handful of best defensive players probably of the last 10 years. He's a little older. But, I mean, I think if we're talking about a trade for him, I mean, you're talking about a baseline of 2 first-round picks, and then you kind of work from there. So he's going to be expensive for someone. But if you look at the history of it over the last few years, you see players of that caliber going for that sort of price where it's what Jalen Ramsey went for a couple of years ago. Laramie Tunsil, elite left tackle. Now those guys are a little younger, but I think with Myles Garrett, for them to even think about it, you'd be talking about multiple first-round picks as the baseline.
I wonder if the Lions would trade for him.
And that was one of the teams that I definitely thought about, because if you're one of those teams, if you're thinking about it and you're like, okay, we're going to give up multiple first-round picks, if your first-round pick is, and where are the Lions? Probably like 27,
yeah,
28.
27, 28, yeah.
Right in there, right? Like, so, that for a team like that, like where it's like, well, we know our first-round picks are going to be low the next few years. And, you feel like we got to do something to kind of juice the team a little bit with all the attrition we've had on the coaching staff. That would be one way to do it. And him and Aiden Hutchinson opposite each other would be pretty tough to deal with.
Would that be historic? Myles Garrett and Aiden Hutchinson, can you think of off the top of your head a better pass rushing duo?
I mean, like you think of those Giants defensive lines, right? Like
the
with
Eagles,
Strahan and
Steelers
Justin
in the
Tuck.
70s? No?
Yeah, I mean,
Joe
the Steelers had like,
Green
the Steelers even more recently, like some of the Steelers, like Kevin Green and Greg Lloyd, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So I mean, it would be up there with those groups for sure.
Eagles had Reggie White, and who was the defensive lineman that died?
Jerome Brown.
Jerome Brown.
Yeah. Right, and there was another one too. Who was it? Seth Joyner. No, Seth Joyner was a linebacker. I mean, it would be. You'd have a hard time finding very many combinations like that.
Now you want that, huh, Hardy?
That'd be nasty. I like.
Yeah, and I think it's like but the Lions are in a position now. You talk about teams that can do it. If you've already got a good base of talent where you don't need, like you look at it and you say, all right, like realistically, based on where our roster is, we may only have room for 5 or 6 rookies on our roster every year anyway. You can get yourself to a place where those picks can become a little bit more expendable, which I think is where the Lions are.
Yeah, and Myles Garrett isn't the only big-name player that apparently is on the market. Cooper Kupp announced last night the Rams have informed him they want to trade him. You knew I was going to ask this. Patriots need about 6 wide receivers. Does Kupp have anything left, and is he a good fit for this team?
I mean, I think you kind of look at like what I would say like what Adam Thielen was a couple of years ago, like when the Panthers brought him in and he left in Minnesota. I think I think if you're expecting to turn back the clock and have it be 3 years ago, you're barking up the wrong tree. But can he be a complimentary piece and a security blanket for your young quarterback? He certainly can be. So he's a pro. Like I think the one thing with him is like at this point, you guys can look at I don't have it in front of me, but you guys can look at like the stats. Like he's one where it's like it'd be tough to rely on him to play 17 games. So you probably have to build in, like he's going to get nicked up at some point, and you're going to have some things that you're going to be working through at some point during the year. But I think he can still be a really serviceable player and an asset to your young quarterback.
Yeah, right. I like the Adam Thielen comp because it's not a 5-year answer, but it's somebody who can come in, it's going to contribute for couple of years, and as you said, be a security blanket, especially for a young quarterback.
Well, what do you have to give up? Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to compare white on white at the scope. At corner and wide receiver, it's a necessity.
Corner is like, what is it? Cooper DeJean, Adam Thielen.
What's his face from the Giants?
Cooper G. Sorry. Cooper
Sehorn.
Jason Sehorn.
Adam
Thielen.
I only see shades of gray.
Sehorn. Sorry,
so I don't know. Is Cooper Kupp white? I didn't.
Jason Sehorn was like we throw the word unicorn around a lot. Jason Sehorn really was a unicorn.
Well, he ended up being on talk shows and stuff. Like he was on the Tonight Show because he was a white corner. Did you ever play like Sega or something? And you would try to make an all-white team and an all-black team, and it was like impossible to make an all-white defense.
Of course,
because Sehorn was very important.
The Patriots could have done it on offense like a few years ago, I think, right? When they had
offense
Woodhead,
was doable.
They had Woodhead, they had like Welker, they had Gronk, they had Amendola. Like you could put if you put the fullback out there, I think you could you could have fielded a Patriots offense that was all white.
Yeah, you were getting like a Crabette in there. I mean, back in the Sega days, you were okay with the receiver position. but and
McCaffrey.
Yeah,
that's right.
Easy Ed McCaffrey.
That's right. And so that was doable. What do you got to give up for Cooper Kupp? Let me guess.
I don't think very much.
A fourth?
Yeah, I think it's probably a day 3 pick. Maybe even a pick swap.
Sale. They want to get out while
like
they can.
Don't. I mean, it's the contract. You know what I mean? Like, and then you've got this is. I was thinking about this last night. Can you remember the last time it happened this way? Like, this is a really weird turn of events where it's coming from the player that the team is trying to trade him. I can't remember the last time. I mean, and I guess it makes sense if you're Cooper Kupp because you're probably trying to signal to the fan base like, hey, like this isn't me. You know what I mean? Like I don't want out to sort of maintain your name with them. But it was a weird way of it happening for sure.
He's going to be 32 before next season.
Yeah.
And if you look back, just to reinforce Bert's point, he's missed at least 5 games each of the last 3 years.
12, 12, 9, and then the last 3 years is the games he's played.
Yeah, although, you know what's funny is you could say the same thing about T. Higgins.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the big thing with T. Higgins is everyone's for 2 years had their heart set on him, and we'll see.
Well, T. Higgins, like it's just if you look at his history, though, it's a ton of soft tissue injuries, and he misses a bunch of time. So, and like even when he's been fully healthy, he's usually pushing through something, and it's been a few years now where that's been the case, and so I mean, look, like here's the reality too. Perfect players don't make it to the market. There's usually a reason why they're available. And with T, it's a little different because they have to pay Jamar also. But generally what you're going to see out there in the veteran market, there's a reason why they're there.
Well, we've had that conversation. That's why when people, I remember the day, I've brought it up a million times, people probably like, F you at this point. But the midday show, ding, 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 ding. Like, we signed this guy. Remember where I was going? I was in the car going to get, like, an X-ray. And bing, 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 all this stuff. And everyone was so excited. And I'm like, oh, no. Like, this is not necessarily the best thing that can happen.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that when you go a bunch of your operation is to get a bunch of high-priced free agents. We've talked about this, Bert, before. You get that 1-year bump historically, and then everything goes back down. And it might be even worse than before, like it was in the case with the Patriots.
Yeah, and generally, like, if you're a team that has a lot of cap space, the reason you have a lot of cap space is because you're a bad team. So those players are going to an environment that's probably less than ideal. Cap space is created, and usually by a team missing on draft picks, and then 2-3 years down the line, they don't have anybody to pay. They don't have anybody that's worth filling the cap space with, so they have to go outside to do it.
Yeah. All right. What is the buzz around the Super Bowl over there? What are people talking about?
That's a general question that gets asked a lot, like early in the week when there's nothing really to talk about yet.
Yeah. That's absolutely what it is. You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Like there's one thing that everyone is talking about. I would say, I just think the historic nature of where the Chiefs are is probably the overriding thing right now. And kind of how this is a way for them to create some history of their own, something that no one's ever done. Because I think last year was more like this establishes them as a dynasty now. It's kind of like the Patriots when they beat the Eagles in 2004 in Jacksonville. And, like that was like, and you remember the whole thing was like, I think there's a picture of Teddy Bruschi holding up like the newspaper that says Dynasty on it,
Well, let's do this exercise. So you're talking about the Patriots. If the Chiefs win 3 in a row, the feat of winning 3 Super Bowls in a row, it's never been done. Yeah. Is that
no one's ever even been back to the Super Bowl after winning 2 in a row.
Right. So you have the Buffalo that lost 4 in a row, but this is winning 3 Super Bowls in a row. If the Chiefs do this, in your opinion, as someone who lives and breathes football, where does this put the Chiefs team? Like all-time Super Bowl era team.
Well, so it pulls them even then, if you think about it this way, it pulls them even with the Niners of the 80s, the Steelers of the 70s. It puts them past the Cowboys of the 90s. And so I think that this puts them in that realm of like they are definitively one of those teams. You know what I mean? Like, and I think what's unique about what happened with the Patriots over that 20-year period is it's almost like they did it twice. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what's different about the Patriots. It's the number of Super Bowls they won, but it's also like almost like 2 separate dynasties built around Belichick and Brady.
Exactly.
And this is like, as far as a singular run, I think you could argue this singular run is better than either of the Patriots runs and equal to what the Niners and Steelers did. What separates the Patriots is again that there were 2 separate runs that were consecutive. So I think that's part of it. And then I think winning something, doing something that's never been done before, and winning 3 in a row. I think that's. I hope people understand the difficulty of that because in pro football, one of the things about it is like what teams will tell you, and the Patriots teams would always tell you this after they'd gone through it, is there's like a wear and tear and fatigue to going through the extra games every year, and the number of games you're playing every year over what other teams are, the 3 or 4 extra games you're playing every year, that winds up taking a toll on your body, and it winds up taking a toll on a team. And that's why, a team will. I think that's a huge reason why nobody's won 3 in a row is because, you go through 2 seasons of it where you have the shorter off season and you have the couple extra games on your body and you have the psychological toll of it, and it just kind of gets to a point where a team gets worn out and then they have a bad day in the playoffs and it's over. So being able to win 3 in a row, to me, is massively impressive in this particular sport. I think it puts them it gives them an accomplishment that I think is impressive on its face because it's never been done. But when you really dig into it based on just the way the sport they play, like just what the sport they play, what it is, I think it's even more impressive to look at.
By the way, if you're talking about those 90s Cowboys teams, have you guys revisited the Bounty Bowl in 1989, the 2 Eagles Dallas Cowboy games? So
yeah,
in 1989, the Eagles play. It's Aikman's rookie year. They play the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. They're in the Cowboys are like on their own too. They're ball snapped, whistle blows, the play dead. Eagles players just nail Aikman like a good 5 seconds after they blow the whistle. Then Luis Cendejas, the kicker for the Cowboys, on a kickoff, kicks off and gets leveled, and then to the point where he walks to the wrong sideline.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's so funny how much different the game is.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen there's this like the promo? It's like the intro to like the NFL Today on CBS. It's from like 1977.
Sure.
And legitimately, like it's got like the old 70s like sports music, like and like literally every hit that you see in like this 45-second montage would be 100% illegal and might get you suspended.
Well, there's that
it's like
slow
a
motion
line
hit
followed by like a helmet-to-helmet hit.
Well, Deacon Jones, but there's that. All he did was clothesline. But I remember, you guys will know this. 70s, 80s, it doesn't matter. The Cowboys receiver going over the middle, the slow motion of him getting nailed and like his face contorting. That used to be like on the ticket. Like this guy's like paralyzed face while he's getting nailed.
It was only 20. I mean, that jacked up segment, which was just priceless back then. I mean, like, remember Jack? That's probably
ESPN,
like 20 years ago, right? Like, it's not that long ago. Like that was like every one of those shots was like just a complete like head hunting, blindside, like just like brutal hit. And yeah, I mean, I like that is one I do totally get why they can't do those things anymore.
Yeah,
but you remember the whole studio? I think it was Michael Irvin was kind of like the carnival barker for that.
Oh yeah,
or you got jacked up. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So I'm watching it right now. The CBS NFL intro. It is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And it's I was 2, so I don't
Fred,
remember.
You got to do it with the volume up though. The volume, the music really adds to it.
There's Walter Payton jump in the pile. Oh, then a guy getting horse collared, a guy getting cleated.
I was gonna say there are a lot of horse collar tackles.
Yeah.
The clothesline.
Boy, a clothesline. Yep.
Yep.
Oh boy.
It's just a casual
a face mask. Oh, this is pretty funny. Well, Brent Musburger lived for violence.
Yeah, there is one where the guy's getting like his getting like his helmet twisted around.
Yeah. He's a guy from Kansas City. It's just a close up of his face mask getting pulled.
And then it's got like the NFL Today graphics. Like
It's like it's Phyllis George, and then there's a guy like getting paralyzed.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
This guy's gonna have dementia. Like it's just like unbelievable.
Yeah. All right. It's pretty funny. Like Walter Payton's the only highlight that's not a brutal headshot.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back. Bert's over there in New Orleans, and we'll finish up with him, and we'll figure out everything else. So we'll be right back.
Sports Hub headline.
intro.
A guy gets pulled down to the ground by his face mask. I mean, pulled down. He's standing up, gets pulled directly down by his face mask.
And the second most egregious one is there's a guy laying on the field and some dude just spikes him in the back. He just runs over him.
Lying on his stomach, and a guy runs over him, but not before stepping on him and spikes.
I don't think the player union was very effective during the 70s.
Thank God.
But I'll tell the story again. I like watching old Super Bowls, and there was one of the Steelers, Dallas ones, and they're the Flowers guy is the color commentator, and they're like, Bradshaw drops back, and then
Merlin Olsen,
and then they're like, Bradshaw drops back. Bradshaw throws the ball, 1, 2, 3, helmet to helmet hit. And then Bradshaw's down, and they're like, "Yep, Bradshaw got his bell rung there."
Yeah,
late hit helmet to helmet. That was the Super Bowl. That's what. If you're a quarterback back then, you got to look at these guys like, you sons of bitches. Like, I'm suffering so much, and you guys don't get touched. All right, let's do Bert's Blast. Let's have fun. I don't know why you're.
There we go.
It's time for Bert's Blast.
All right, I've done the unthinkable and written down 3 questions for the first time in my life.
Well, we want to be prepared. We really want to blast you with some hard-hitting questions.
Go ahead, Fred.
So
you're prepared.
These are rapid fire.
Yeah.
All right, Bert. The worst fans in the NFL. Who?
I won't get myself in trouble here. The worst fans in the NFL.
Based on the comments on Twitter, on their behavior at games, the parking lot situations.
You know who's a surprising pain in the ass is Jacksonville fans.
Oh, well,
you wouldn't think that.
Yeah, but you're just talking about a team that can't get at you.
If you're talking about like the parking lot situation, it's Philly. Like it's definitely Philly.
How dare you bring the Jaguars into that conversation?
No, you're in trouble now.
I know. Like you're
Well,
just
if you think about it, if you think about it, that's the way I offend the least people.
Well, no,
they're all my audience.
I know exactly what you're doing. That you just went, what team sucks the most in a garbage town with no fans? All right. The Super Bowl week is famous for its carousing. Obviously, you're up early. Is there anyone, you don't have to say their name, is there anyone in the media who's notorious for being out the latest? Like, they're going to close the bar.
I mean, I think some people might answer that I'm one of them. I don't think I'm number one, to be clear about that. Yes, there is one, and he. I'll give you guys the name later, but yes, there is one.
Does he embrace the role, or is he? Does he try to shun it?
Yeah. He's sort of he's been a mentor to me in certain ways, and probably a bad influence in others.
You don't have to.
But now I'm the bad influence. You know.
Yeah. Well, listen. All right.
Yeah, you can usher in a whole new generation of writers and reporters and teach them how to behave poorly at these events.
Well, part of what makes you good at the job, though, is your willingness to stay out and hang out and socialize. And I honestly, I tell people, it's a big part of my job is doing that at things like the combine and everything else. Obviously, it gets harder to do as you get older, but I 100% I view it as part of the job.
Okay, you are in New Orleans, where the media room is in the parking garage. The NFL stadium with the worst facilities, like for media fans, everything.
It would have been Oakland for sure before they moved out of there. The worst stadium in the league. Probably Jacksonville. God, there I go again with Jacksonville. I'm really crushing.
It's
North
not.
Florida.
It's not the Superdome, because the Superdome's a dump. It's not.
The Superdome's been renovated a couple times, though. It's it's fine. Like what the NFL did yesterday was ridiculous. But
what's the media situation like at Lambeau?
You know what's a bad one? You know what's a bad one is Washington. Washington is in every single way. It's hard to believe that stadium is only 6 years older than Philly. You know what I mean? It's just the Washington Stadium, because it went up so fast. And the story behind it's actually kind of funny. Jack Kent Cooke was on death's door, and he wanted the stadium to open before he died. So they built it in a year and a half and cut all kinds of corners. And it like looks like a giant erector set if you driving up to it.
Bert,
So
blast.
Well, listen, at least he got his wish. Now then he could die happy.
Best and worst Super Bowl host cities. Jacksonville's the worst. Fine. Well, but give me another worst one along with the best one.
Minnesota was brutal. You guys were there, right?
Oh.
Yeah, they had
kind of cold. Yeah.
Well, no, forget it. Cold. I'm used to the cold. How about that? We were 20
At the Mall
miles
of
from the
America.
arena.
How about that we were in the Mall of America in the
hotel-
food court for Radio Row?
The hotel we were at, I don't know what hotel you guys were at, but the hotel I was at was like 3/4 of a mile away from the mall.
Yeah.
Which meant like it was just far enough away where you didn't want to risk frostbite.
Well, that's just
walking.
it. We were 500 yards, but it was the same situation.
And what's funny is Minneapolis is a really cool city.
It's not bad. Yeah.
No,
I
it's
mean,
a cool city, and like it's meant for the cold. They have tunnels and bridges. Like,
And if you did
close-
everything downtown, it would have been fine.
if
for
you
the
did
most
everything downtown, it would have been fun.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't fun at all with that being 20 miles away. It's ridiculous. They have a whole downtown Minneapolis, and they put us in a suburb at a mall.
You look at what Indianapolis did, and Indianapolis more or less drew a blueprint for Minneapolis, and they didn't follow it. You know?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, Indianapolis was great. Like Indianapolis did such a good job, and all Minneapolis had to do was take the Indianapolis blueprint and copy it, and instead they put us in a mall in the suburbs.
They put us in the place where we were staying in the very place. It was like a Hampton Inn. Who cares? It was connected to where we were broadcasting.
The radio.
It was like a magic. It was like a carpet ride every time.
Some of you.
And the fact that Radio Row was in the food court was so stupid.
No. I was staying 20 miles outside the city with everybody else.
I would have loved to have had like a camera in the meeting where they decided to put Radio Row in the food court. Like I like that was. It was such a strange environment because you had all of these media people, and then you had like these fans kind of gawking on the outs. It was just this bizarre.
Yeah, and the Patriots hotel was there too. It was very strange.
Both hotels. I think the Eagles were. They were in hotels on opposite ends of the mall, if I remember right.
And that was the 1 year you could see players other than opening night and media night because the players had nothing to do. They would walk around the mall.
Yeah,
they're like Hollister. Yeah, I mean, it's like
they had two lids. I'll tell you this.
Two. There's a lot more than
there
that.
Might have been. Oh, there were multiple lid stores. I'll tell you the answer to the question.
Spencer
that Hardy
Gifts
answered is Phoenix. Phoenix is the worst Super Bowl site.
The best is New Orleans, and it's not even close.
Yeah, everyone says that if they could do it, it'd be New Orleans.
It's just because like it, and I think this is for all events, but like a lot of cities you go to and they get completely overwhelmed by the Super Bowl. This city, because of the hotel rooms, the amount of bars and restaurants, this city can just absorb events.
Right.
And it doesn't feel like it is overwhelmed by the Super Bowl.
No. Everyone says that. I've never been to one down there, but everyone says the city's built for it.
Nice work.
By the way, on that Washington thing, on the stadium going up so fast before they sold the team to Dan Snyder, did you know, so that stadium's in Landover, Maryland. Did you know that they briefly got the area around the stadium like reincorporated as its own town, and it was Raljohn, Maryland. He named it after his two sons. So he got the stadium turned into its own town, and his sons' names were Ralph and John. And so for a short period of time, that stadium was in Raljohn, Maryland.
Well, now his kids will never resent him because they had a town named after him. All right,
well,
Bert.
but then Dan Snyder bought the town or bought the team, and then it went back to just being Landover.
And one of the worst people on the planet. All right, Bert, thank you so much. Enjoy
Thanks, guys.
the rest of your week there in New Orleans. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to
15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Now open in Raynham, Reading, and Braintree.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is Boston's home for sports.
He scored! What a blast by Boston! Waiting, Holiday screams, good night!
WBZFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
Both the Celtics and the Bruins had last night off, but both will be back at work this evening. The Bruins have the home game as they face Minnesota. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7. You're on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Interim head coach Joe Sacco said yesterday that despite the fact that he's practicing, Hampus Lindholm will likely not be ready to play until after the upcoming 2-week break for the Four Nations face-off. Celtics have a big game in Cleveland this evening. These two teams have split the first two meetings of the season. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 over on 105.7 WROR. The Celtics have listed everyone as available on their active roster. The bidding for ownership of the Celtics is ongoing, and despite an earlier report, Philadelphia Eagles owner and Boston native Jeffrey Lurie said last night he is not interested in purchasing the franchise at this time. Lurie was speaking at the NFL's opening night in New Orleans in advance of the Super Bowl, which is this coming Sunday evening. Saquon Barkley is a long ways away from playing for the New York Giants a year ago.
Means everything. That's life though. You're gonna have adversities, you're gonna have up and downs, but it's who you are in those moments. And I never lost faith, and I just kept my head down and kept working, and was able to get here and be able to surround myself with unbelievable individuals. And when you're able to do that, you're able to have a lot of success.
In other NFL news, the Patriots have hired former Jet assistant Todd Downing as their wide receivers coach. The Rams have informed wideout Cooper Kupp they're going to trade him. Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is expected to become the new head coach of New Orleans. And League Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett has asked for a trade out of Cleveland. And finally at the Beanpot, number 1 BC blew out Northeastern 8-2 last night. They move on to play BU, who beat Harvard in the first game yesterday 7-1. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Service Credit Union. They've teamed with Charlie McAvoy again this season for 73 reasons to defend New England's first responders. Visit servicecu.org/73. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
You want to talk sports? We want to talk sports.
Squeeze the chicken and open the mouth.
It's like we were meant for each other.
This is why you need us.
98.5 The Sports Hub. You said you wanted to hear more music in the morning.
Never had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
No, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
I ain't got too much to say. It's the Super Bowl.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, and our coverage of Super Bowl 59 is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, and everyone's got Super Bowl fever. We're going to...
All right, we'll step away, and the Chiefs are up 7-0 early in the first. Everyone turns around and starts to, shush, shush! Super Bowl commercials,
Right.
everybody.
Oh,
okay.
I have the best story. So my friend was going to Creative Circus, which is an ad, like postgraduate, like copywriting school for advertising. And I went to this party that the kids at the school were having with my friend Jason. And during the commercials, I started having a conversation. And then this guy goes, hey. Like, what are you doing? And I go, oh, it's the commercials. And he goes, that would be like us talking if on the radio while the DJ was talking. And I went, oh. You'll never see these commercials again either. They need to be seen in real time and be analyzed by you, stupid. Like I'll never get like a hot chick getting like hosed down. Wow, what great mind thought of that. That happened. So, and anyone who laughs out loud at commercials, I have a little bit of an issue with too.
Well, it's already being ruined because they've leaked some Super Bowl commercials already, including one featuring Meg Ryan reprising her role from When Harry Met Sally.
I've seen that, yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm just looking at the still from it. I don't think that Meg Ryan is doing herself any favors with the work that she's having done.
She looks about 87.
I think she looks good.
Well, she looks fine, except
I like that fake look, though.
You like the lips and the cheek filler and all. You like all that.
If not like where they look deformed, but
she looks deformed.
I don't think I disagree. I think she looks okay.
Yeah, I'm with Hardy on this one.
All right. Well, listen. Any woman who's had a lot of plastic surgery, you can DM me. Slide into my DMs. I like it.
But this
get everything done.
This brings to mind some of the classic
like a superhero. Big old boobs lifted up. You're 50 years old with huge cans.
I want you resembling nothing that appears in nature.
We were trying to get a woman like that hired to do the nested sideline one year.
You could. Well, that was we was cutting. There was a message there. So let's cut
that
through
was
the crap.
Brilliant. No, I thought
let's cut through the crap and just get a chick with big cans in here.
Yeah.
To do it, because that's what you're looking for. Here's the deal: is that women they rack their brain, they get mad at each other, they insult other people. But if you're a woman and you get big breast implants, everyone's going to like you. You're going to get a lot of attention, and that's just the way it is. Women are going to get mad, and they're going to make fun of you behind your back and this and that. But you're going to get everyone's attention. Look at Jeff Bezos' wife. Jeff Bezos, I know you, except from Hardy. Look at Jeff Bezos' wife. She's like fairly age appropriate, but she's got big fake cans. She's had her face done. And he's the richest guy on the planet. That's what the guys want.
She's got a big pair of cans.
Yes, she does, Jason.
Because if a rich middle-aged old guy is going to marry someone, he's not going to want to marry like a 25-year-old. He's going to want to marry say he's 60. He's going to want to marry probably a girl in her 40s, 50s. The way that exists is plastic surgery. So I am defending Meg Ryan. I think she looks fine. Would you want her to look like an old lady? That's the only way she's not going to look like an old lady. She doesn't want to look like an old lady. So
Helen Mirren. Beautiful.
Helen Mirren, though, is elegant.
Thank you.
She has an elegance to her.
And
she's obviously had plastic
There's
surgery.
something to be said for aging gracefully. I have something to say about it, and I'm in support of it, whereas you want everybody to look like like a cartoon character.
But yeah, might as well. I think she looks good. I'm not being sarcastic. By the way, I'm getting a facial today.
Hey.
Me and my daughter are going out to
you.
get facials. I got it for Christmas. I'm going to look awesome.
Little cucumber slices on the eyes.
Hey, I'm up for anything.
Good
Sit
for
on my
you.
face. Do whatever you want.
All right.
That's not a face.
Is that part of it?
That's not. That's not.
I
mean,
right.
that's
I've never had one, but I can almost guarantee that.
You'll notice I said I don't do anything. I keep my hands to myself.
I'm uncomfortable. You kind of cruising into my side of the street.
No, you're all alone there. Don't worry about it.
Mother boy.
Yeah, he loves butt implants.
This brings to mind some of the all-time greatest Super Bowl commercials. See how long it takes you to identify the product being advertised in these top 10 classic Super Bowl commercials.
Budweiser.
Oh, that was
That's hard.
Relatively easy.
Miller Lite.
Yeah, exactly. Kmart. I was watching a YouTube video, and there was like a quick 5-second Budweiser ad in the beginning of it, and it said at the end, "Click here if you want to see the whole commercial." I thought that was so funny.
I'm in.
Wow, can I?
Oh, awesome.
All I got to do is click this, and then I get to see the whole commercial?
All right, how about this one?
No, this means Joe Green when he throws the jersey.
Yeah.
I've never seen that live on television. I just know of it being a iconic commercial.
I've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
Do I physically remember seeing it? No, I can't.
It's hard to remember
That's
whether
like
or not
19.
you saw it first or not.
Neither John. There's a chance. I'm not being a dick. John, there's a chance he saw it live. There's no way you or I saw it.
But I don't even remember if I did or I didn't. At
I
this
mean,
point.
you're talking about 70. You're talking about 77 there.
Yeah, those are the Steelers' glory years.
Yeah, maybe 80. But
This was a big one. What's going on in this one?
Suddenly I have the urge to take another shower.
This is awesome.
Oh,
that's got to be post-American Pie because what is that, like a MILF thing?
Actually, hold on. I think I.
Suddenly I have the urge to take another shower.
This is awesome.
I'll give you a hint. She is now cuckoo. Like completely off the rails crazy.
You just confirmed it for me. That's GoDaddy.
Featuring
Danica Patrick and
Jillian
Barberie? Yes, I think
from TV?
Yeah, is it Jillian Barberie? No, she was like this workout craze fitness girl.
No, then it's not Jillian.
Jillian
I don't know. Who cares?
I don't know who it is. All I know is Danica Patrick now has podcast guests on where they talk about the lizard people and how Justin Bieber
I've seen videos
revealed
of that,
himself as the lizard
Yeah,
guy.
that was good.
You had to be a big Danica Patrick fan. She's driving a car. She's got no breasts.
Yeah, she's not particularly outstandingly attractive. She's just kind of there.
But she's always got that sour puss.
Yeah, she seems like a real hard to handle lady.
Yeah,
but
she went through the Aaron Rodgers washing machine too, so I can understand why she might be a bit angry.
This one John might remember. Fred, you and I are a little young for this.
Apple Computer will introduce.
Yeah, I do know this, and I did see it live because they made a big deal about it. It's considered the worst commercial of all time. It was a huge failure, I believe, at the time. It's the introduction of the Apple Computer, and it's like these zombie dudes walking in this factory. It's this big grand commercial. Right. Yeah, it's iconic. And I actually remember that because it was the early to mid 80s. And before that commercial came out, that might have been the first commercial that started this whole thing.
So it was like an Orwellian 1984 theme to it.
And it was considered like this disaster, because
too artistic.
I remember that more than that Super Bowl. I remember being a little kid and hearing all about Apple. Apple's going to have this commercial, and it was a small company. And they took all their money and put it into this one Super Bowl ad. And it was this weird, sci-fi thing. Now it's considered iconic and the greatest thing ever. Mm-hmm. But I do believe at the time they were it hurt the company a great deal. That was their whole promotional budget, basically. And they blew it on. You could have just had Steve Jobs, one of the most charismatic guys in any industry, just talk.
Right.
But instead you had to put in this dumb commercial.
Well, this commercial spawned an entire series of these.
Solitary. Just a man and his thoughts and a smartphone. Nobody knows.
Any idea what's being advertised there?
No.
I'll give you a hint. The voice does not match the face.
Solitary. Just a man and his thoughts and a smartphone. Nobody knows.
Sounds like Bill Hader.
That is the voice of the baby from the E-Trade commercial. The baby E-Trade, the kind of the Uncanny Valley thing that was going on with that baby.
Remember Pink Floyd's The Wall? Like the movie?
Yeah, I never
saw it. All right, so it's terrible. You never saw it?
I never saw it either. No.
You never got high and put on The Wall, man?
No. I went to see The Song Remains the Same at my high school auditorium once for a movie night.
That movie's so cool.
Dude, they shoot a guy with a Tommy gun and streamers come out of his head.
The best is Robert Plant. He's just in a forest with fairies. And it's really... So anyway, it's like this factory. It's Orwellian. It's called 1984 Big Brother. That's the name of the commercial.
All right.
And it's all gray. And there are these dudes all watching this mean guy on this screen. And in comes this woman with blonde hair and an Olympic outfit on. And she takes a hammer and she smashes everything down. And then it says on January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce the Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Wow.
Okay.
And it's not good. It was a bad idea.
All right. Something else from media, an opening night. Travis Kelce was asked this question, and I want to get your thoughts on this, boys.
Ooh. She's
asked what Taylor Swift makes for him, if she makes food, and his favorite meal that Taylor Swift makes for him.
Ooh. She is quite the cook. I would say, man, I'm a breakfast guy, man. Her Pop-Tarts are unbelievable, man. Homemade Pop-Tarts, they're unbelievable.
Well, that's very famous. She brings them to the games. She does.
Does she really?
She does.
Huh.
You guys are so far behind. This is embarrassing. Yes, Taylor Swift makes homemade Pop-Tarts, and she gifts them at the Chiefs games to the people.
So she makes her own version of a Pop-Tart?
You heard me. You heard me the first time.
What is there to improve upon with Pop-Tarts?
I know. I didn't know they needed reinvented.
It's not some soulless factory. It's a woman with her own hands kneading the dough and making the Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts toasted or untoasted?
I haven't had a Pop-Tart in 100 years.
Toasted.
I don't think they're good.
Toasted.
Hold on a second.
S'mores Pop-Tart. Toasted.
First of all, untoasted.
No.
Second of all,
no.
What's not good about a Pop-Tart?
The sides. Everything that doesn't have frosting.
You give a good little side to the dog when you're standing over the sink eating a Pop-Tart. The dog gets the sides.
But then you're initiating that kind of behavior. That's going to get people food.
Oh, yeah, she does.
The best part of that, too, is, Hardy, when you feed the dog the Pop-Tart piece and the
How would you
dog's
know?
mouth gets on your hand, and then you use that
Well,
same
you're
hand to
fighting
keep
the
eating.
dog for the food.
Yeah.
Is the problem?
You're on the floor.
Yeah, like
begging for scraps.
Yeah, you're out in back of the restaurant trying to kick these dogs
That's
out
right.
of
I'm
the way.
actually upset that Hardy's giving away good food to an animal when I need it.
You don't like dogs, and I know why.
Are you coming over on Sunday 12?
No, we have. I think I'm going to my parents' house on Sunday for the Super Bowl.
loser.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a dog walking amongst us. So you probably wouldn't have liked it.
I've not gotten to meet your dog yet. I got to meet
I'll bring
Lyle,
my
but I
dog
didn't
over.
get
They'll
to
have a
meet
lot of fun.
Oh,
Make sure he's been in the crate for a good 6 hours, then I'll take him out and take him to your house. I hope you don't mind anarchy. Or you don't have any possessions that you value that much.
Empty the hampers.
You've got
Yeah,
comprehensive
seriously.
homeowners insurance for the injuries,
Yeah,
right?
make sure anything that a female's worn is put away in a place where he can't get to it, or that's gonna be vomited up later that morning.
Oh, all right. Well, that's the Super Bowl.
All right.
segment.
Well, listen,
Well done.
everyone has a good time at the Super Bowl. Everyone's got Super Bowl fever. We will be back with our world famous email segment just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You've heard a lot about.
email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, and if you want to get in touch with us, you can simply look at 985thesportshub.com and get our contact information. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Toucher and Hardy. You can follow Hardy at Hardy985 on Instagram. And John, as I make my way to 26,000
Where
followers.
are you? Let's hear it.
At Fred Toucher on Instagram. I am at, let me see. Let me get my professional dashboard up.
Mm-hmm.
I am at
24.6.
Yeah. It's.
Oh, I was right.
I picked
Okay.
up a lot of followers when we were broadcasting from Detroit. Whatever that knocked the algorithm out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
I think I picked up some too. I wasn't paying attention beforehand, but I think I went up maybe I've got a long way to go to reach you, Fred, but I went up from, I don't know, maybe 6,000 to 7,000.
Yeah, you're in the minors. I'm playing with the big boys. Yeah, go ahead.
I saw the video you put up, Hardy, of your boy using the blower to uncover
That
your
was a
golf
long time ago, John.
ball under the leaves. It's still
Jesus.
All right,
killer.
so this was sent to me in
It's
Hardy.
awesome.
Georgie says a story. Fred is obsessed with Bill Belichick. A story hasn't been beaten more into the ground than this. Yes, it was funny, but when you talk about it literally every day, Fred, it becomes laborsome. Get new material, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, get new material.
Well, the thing is, we are doing a contest that is based on Bill Belichick that is happening on Thursday, and I understand you are correct. I am obsessed with it.
Thursday or Friday?
Friday. I am obsessed with it. There's no question about it. Bill Belichick's behavior right now,
Why
to me,
wouldn't
is
you
hysterical.
be obsessed? This is arguably the best head coach in the history of professional football who's dating someone 50 years younger than him. Why is that not fascinating?
Especially when that coach is known as a no-nonsense guy.
Yeah, no nonsense.
Completely nonsensical.
Talking down to hard-ass, no-nonsense, tough guy that was against social media and everything.
How is
and
that
now he's
not
simping
fascinating?
around. It's fascinating to me. I love it.
Guy was just on a ring camera, shirtless, not knowing where he was.
I mean, there's not anyone in the universe this would be more funny than. Like, there's no one in the universe that this would be more funny. There's no one in the universe that if Pete Carroll was banging an 18-year-old, I wouldn't think it was as weird as this. Belichick is a dick and an ugly dick. And now he's simping around with some young lady. It's funny.
Yeah. She's posing like she's scouting players. This is amazing.
Yeah,
I hope
she's
it goes
got
on
him
forever.
I hope I do too.
I hope those two lucky kids get married. I can't wait.
But if you listen to the show a lot, I do run it into the ground. There's no denying it. This is from John. The Wall might be the most annoying and nonsensical movie I've ever attempted to watch. Tried to watch it like 12 years ago, hoping it would make this new chick I was dating want to mess around because she was all hippie and slutty, but I'm not a pothead, so 10 minutes I was already checked out. That's from Jack and the Prius.
We have an avalanche of people. I don't know. Did we discuss this earlier? Getting back to the Bill thing that the Bill plays. He was in Winthrop at the time. I don't know if we talked about this on or off the air.
Off the air.
We talked about it off the air. But
Yeah,
Winthrop was the place.
We had the exact home. Hardy was showing
Yeah.
me pictures. The people had done recognizance
Well,
missions.
I have a list of like 7 tweets. It's Winthrop. It's Winthrop. Okay.
Yeah, Bill Belichick was shirtless in
Fans
Winthrop.
knows.
That's
Fans
where he
know.
was. All right, Hardy, what do you got?
You mentioned Led Zeppelin a moment ago. Any interest in this becoming Led Zeppelin movie?
I would watch it.
I think I would watch it too. And I'm no particular fan of Led Zeppelin, but I've seen enough clips of it to where I think this might actually be okay.
Has anyone watched the documentary on Netflix, I Am Tim?
No.
It's about that big DJ that killed himself. He had this song,
Jack?
Avicii.
Oh.
Avicii. He was like this kid who became this huge EDM dude, and he ended up flying off to like Oman or somewhere in the Middle East and killing himself. But he was young, and they have all this footage, and he got famous so quickly that it completely destroyed him. Like and it shows just how soulless like the record labels are and stuff, and they have guys from the record labels talking about him. And the guy this kid's from like Sweden, and the guy that's the head of like the label over there is like, he's just like, yeah, like, that's what happens, Do you guys know Avicii?
Yeah,
I know.
I'm looking at the
I remember the
Wikipedia
story.
page.
What's
too.
the big hit?
He did. Well, remember he did
With
some
the black
crossover
guy.
things where he had like a country singer.
Yeah,
do a thing that
but
he,
there
that
was
he sang
that
in.
huge song with the like it's an unknown black singer.
I'll pull it up.
Yeah, he had this big song. Well, anyway, I don't care for EDM, but I was
Wake Me Up?
Yes, thank you. I was transfixed with the documentary I'm Tim, and I also watched the documentary on Netflix about a man who's trying to live forever. You've seen this guy on YouTube. He spends $2 million a year in longevity stuff. He takes 60 supplements a day.
That guy scares the hell out of me. It's really scary, but not funny.
It's a very good documentary because it explores all of that, and it also shows that people that are in like doctors, some of the stuff he's doing, they're like, this is good because we'd never be able to test this in humans. So this guy's like a human guinea pig. So what he's doing is actually could be common 20 years from now. And also it shows why he's doing it. He was a Mormon and left the church, and then he was miserable. He tried to kill himself. He was making all this money. He left the church, and he was very isolated.
Does he like Avicii?
Big collaborator with him.
I think, I don't know.
Yeah, you like it. Don't worry about it. I'm out there watching documentaries where you two are slogging through the woods. I watched I'm Tim from Avicii.
What are we doing?
We're doing email.
No.
Slogging through the woods?
We're slogging through the woods while you're watching the TV?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm over there on the weekend watching
I was the only one
documentaries.
slogging through the woods.
Yeah, that's a 12 thing. That's not us.
Yeah, I'm watching documentaries. Don't worry about
I also
it. I'm the
enjoy
intellectual.
documentaries.
No, not like me.
I watch TV, okay?
I have to rewatch all the ones I watched during the pandemic because I realized I was hammered through most of them. So now I don't remember. I'm like, oh wait,
What's
think I
wrong
watched
with you? You were hammered during the pandemic?
The Decline of Western Civilization parts 1 and 2, but I don't remember anything from them.
Yeah. So you're alone there. You were home. You were home alone, drunk. Yeah.
No kidding.
No kidding. Yeah, that was a good time. All right, what do you got, Hardy?
Somebody wanted us to ask Chris Mannix about a fight that was coming up, the Canelo Crawford fight.
Yes,
I saw an ad pop up for pay-per-view. It was $79.99 for some fight. I thought, who is spending $80 on pay-per-view for a boxing match?
That fight is notable because it is a shift. They're going to hold it in Las Vegas, but they're not holding it at the MGM. They're holding it at Allegiant Stadium. So they're thinking this might be a shift away from the hotel boxing experience and put all the big ones inside the NFL stadium.
Okay.
Parking, by the way, at that place is impossible, as you well know. Allegiant Stadium doesn't exactly have a parking lot you can pull into.
But you don't like the whole point of having it walking distance from like Mandalay Bay is you get yourself down to the Strip and then you just walk over there.
Okay,
I think that's the point.
okay.
I don't know. I haven't been to a game there yet.
Yeah, we were at the Patriots game. A bunch of us went to the Patriots game there, the one where Jacoby Myers threw the lateral back and, they scored the touchdown at the end.
Yeah.
The terrible loss. It was tough getting in and out of there, although it is walking distance from Mandalay Bay.
Did you drive in?
No, we were staying at the Wynn up the Strip.
So you took a car service down there?
Yes.
Oh, I think you
Yeah,
did
it was
I think you
rather
did it wrong.
difficult to get there. But anyway, that's the shift. All future, and this fight you're talking about is the pound for pound. It's a big deal. They're going to hold it in the football stadium now instead of at the MGM or the Mandalay Bay.
That changes my life in a great way. Jeremy says, everyone talks about how KC winning 3 in a row is unheard of, but I find it shines a light brighter on Belichick sitting Butler against the Eagles. Butler plays, and the Patriots have a great chance at winning that game to the sitting of Malcolm Butler as the reason
I could see
they
that.
didn't win the Super Bowl. And nothing has come out about that. In the 5 million hours of documentary and the 700 books that's come out.
True.
Bill will probably talk about it in his book he's got coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
Yeah.
The Art of Winning.
The Art of Winning. He'll
Sit your best defensive player for the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's just amazing that all this time has been spent on those teams, but like the most interesting stuff has not come out.
It's the only thing I'm interested in. It's the only thing I want to hear from him. Anything else he has to say about his philosophies and that, I don't care. I really don't. I don't care to any degree how much I care. What was your reason for sitting Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl? The real reason.
Short of Butler pulling out a gun and shooting somebody, what could it possibly be that you couldn't tell people after 6 or 7 years? What could he have possibly done to anybody to keep this a secret for this long?
It was at a Radio Row a couple of years ago, and Malcolm Butler sat down with us, and I said, okay, so, Bill brought you back into camp, gave you a guaranteed, camp bonus of like $250,000.
Right.
And I forgot how I phrased the question, but it was in a tactful enough way to where it was essentially, was that kind of like a, hey, sorry for screwing you over. How about a couple $100,000 to come to camp for a team that you're not going to make the team for?
Yep.
And Butler essentially said, yeah, that was kind of how I felt about it. Like I got screwed over, and that was, they brought me in and gave me some money, and that was a nice thing to do. Still no answer, nothing. And
Butler's hinted that he was going to write an autobiography and he'd have it in
right
there.
He mentioned it during that interview at Radio Row.
That hasn't happened. So
Nope.
I mean,
that Malcolm Butler biography might as well just be a paragraph, because it's going to be all filler, no killer.
A
it's
rags to riches story.
Yeah,
that's the seller.
You did one thing, dude. All right, great. I want to know why he didn't play. That's what I want to know.
Right.
Unless he has this unbelievable
You can give me 2 paragraphs.
story.
You can give me a paragraph about the play, and then give me a paragraph about why you didn't play.
Yeah, how little Patricia had to do with it.
That's right.
Is what I would like to hear.
That should really be the meat of that first paragraph.
But it's so funny that I've sat through so much crap about this Patriots team. He's writing this book, The Art of Winning. The coach from UCLA, John Wooden, has all these books on leadership. There's this video of Joe Buck interviewing Bobby Knight, and he's like, what do you think about John Wooden? He's like, I got no respect for him. And he's like, why? And he names this dude, and he's like, there's this dude, and they show a picture of him who just went around and paid players for him. That's how John Wooden won. And he says he can say whatever he wants, but when I was at Indiana, I didn't pay anybody, and they were paying everyone at UCLA. And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
It shined a little light on things.
Uh-huh.
Everyone is in this rapturous love of John Wooden, but John Wooden was keeping his hands clean because he had a guy hired just to do the dirty work.
By the way, it's interesting you bring up Bobby Knight. They had the 30 for 30 on the Fall of Night yesterday on ESPN2, ESPN News, whatever, and it kind of details what an a-hole he was from beginning to end in his tenure and how everyone in Indiana, including elected officials, were scared of him, scared to talk out. Former players were petrified because they were worried that Knight would reach out and get them fired from their jobs because no one left. Everyone still worked in Indiana after playing for IU basketball. But it was very detailed as to the hold he had over that campus in that state for 30 years.
I think he won a national championship his second year at Indiana. I think
it was fourth. Either way, it was quick.
Yeah, quickly.
It was quick.
Quickly at Indiana.
That was the undefeated season, 76.
I remember seeing that interview I did with Jeremy Schaap, and Schaap asked him like a completely, fair question, and he just stares at me. He's like, "Don't you do that? You're not your father,
right?
You're not your father."
I remember
like,
that.
That guy, it's just insane. You deal with a certain amount of craziness, I get, to get certain levels of brilliance in all walks of life. But that guy was pathologically nuts.
Okay, so this is comparable. Bobby Knight dating a 24-year-old and taking pictures at like a hayride and dressing up as a fisherman.
That's
there.
fair.
If you're so in, that's the fast. That's another example.
That's
like
fair.
if Bobby Knight was banging some 24-year-old and putting pictures on Instagram of him dressed as a fisherman and she was a mermaid, that would be fascinating.
That's
and
fair.
all his old players would be fascinated by it. That's an example. He was an old gruff a-hole, like he looked as old as he was, and there you go. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Was beyond reproach, was a dick to every media member. The funny thing about it is he became a member of the media after he retired. He worked for ESPN.
But the thing is that, like your winning bought you the leeway to be awful to people, and then the more you won, the bigger dick you could be, and the more you could mistreat people publicly, and all this stuff. And that's why it's so funny to me.
I like that.
That's why it's so funny to me. But I do beat it into the ground. There's no question about it. I will not get offended about that. All right, we're coming back with our award-winning stack segment.
Sports Hub headlines.
The Bruins will wrap up a 3-game homestand tonight when they play Minnesota at TD Garden. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7. You're on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Joe Sacco announced yesterday defenseman Hampus Lindholm is not expected back until after the team's upcoming 2-week break for the Four Nations face-off. Celtics play in Cleveland tonight against the Cavaliers. Everyone is listed as available for the Celtics in this one. Grandy and Max at the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 over on 105.7 WROR. Philadelphia Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie was reportedly one of the people in the running to purchase the Celtics, but he said last night at Super Bowl opening night in New Orleans he is not interested at this time. Patriots have hired former Jets assistant Todd Downing as their wide receivers coach, and at the Beanpot it'll be Boston.
to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
It is The Stack, and our coverage of Super Bowl 59 is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. I banged my knee. This be over there. You saw that I was in
That's the first time
pain.
that's happened to you.
I've had the thing fall on me.
Yes.
And it made a big gash on my ankle.
That was on the air.
That was on the air.
That was on the air. A piece fell on his ankle underneath the console.
And then it ripped open my ankle.
Screaming.
Maybe you're the ankle that's bothering you now is just residual effects from that injury years ago.
You know what? It's loosened up a little bit since we've been here. I've been stretching it out here on the chair. I've been doing some PT myself. Don't worry. I'm handling it.
So you're good now.
Yeah, but Hardy, did you see how I handled the pain? Like, I didn't make a big fuss about it. I had my initial reaction, and I sat through the pain.
Well, that's what a cold plunging will do for you.
Well, the cold plunge was not working on Sunday, and let's just say the management got an earful. I got into that thing, and the thing was sitting at 69 degrees.
Whoa!
Said, oh, my God.
That's not a cold plunge.
This has got no therapeutic benefit.
Tepid warm plunge.
And I saw this other guy coming in, and I'm like, hold your horses. This actually happened. I'm like, hold your horses. I'm like, this thing, it ain't cold. And he goes, He ignores me, and he gets in, and he goes, oh, what is the temperature of this thing? I go, I told you. It's 69 degrees. Why didn't you listen to me?
And then you guys had a chuckle about that number.
No, but then we saw that no
friend.
one was around, and we started making out.
Ow! Nick liked that.
Nick loves gay jokes.
Something from New Orleans that we didn't get to earlier in the show. We were talking about Roger Goodell's press conference. He has another idea. The NFL is exploring professional flag football leagues for both men and women.
Well, I was having lunch while the Pro Bowl was going on at an establishment, and the game was on in the background, and I got to tell you, it was a hoot. It was 76 to 69 or something. Like it was a lot of fun.
There was a tug of war after the third quarter. You missed that.
No, I wasn't watching it. It was in my line of sight to my left. It was on a bar TV to my left. I was at a high top table, so I could see it.
Mark Bertrand, who is going to be on next from New Orleans, has been a big proponent of flag football. Thinks that's what the league needs to do. Start doing more flag football. Get kids involved earlier than some parents don't want their kids playing tackle football at an early age. Flag football, he says, is where it's at.
Well, I've said this before. My kids were very involved in sports. My son's still really involved in sports. The only game that he played, the only organized sport that he played with just dickheads as coaches was flag football, which is ironic because it's not a sport. Like they were treating it like football, and it's like there's no contact. There's no like play calling. What are you doing? Like, stop it. Like all the the Little League World Series crap and all that stuff. Never saw coaches fight with one another like I did at that flag football.
In my town, it starts early, too. Natick football is like a really big deal.
Yeah. Well, they play tackle football there.
No, it starts as flag when the kids are 4, 5, 6 years old. And those coaches are out there at 8 in the morning screaming and yelling at them. It's really something.
For kids that want to play it, fine. And my daughter played it, and she had a good time. It was good.
Well, there you just said it. Your daughter played it. And that's the thing, is that your daughter played it, and that's why it's ridiculous that these coaches are getting upset about something. It's a co-ed sport.
But for the viewing of it, and I'm not saying this just to pump up a great sport, I would much rather watch Ultimate. If you're going to watch guys running up and down a football field wearing, their hats backward, trying to complete long passes, give me a good Ultimate game. Now that's a sport. When the football goes to sleep at night, John, it dreams of being a Frisbee. This has been documented.
Did you see J.D. Martinez is real? This is a true story. Adam pointed at it. J.D. Martinez, the ex-Red Sox, now wants to be a professional pickleball player.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's a rough road, though. You can tell him.
Good for
from
him.
your own experience.
He's got himself a sponsor. He's ready to go.
Does it cheapen it, though, that he wants to be pro, that he's bringing money into it?
It doesn't cheapen it. I think it does do a disservice to actual professional pickleball play. It reminds me of who was the volleyball player? Gabrielle Reese said, "I'm going to be a professional golfer." No, you're not.
Right.
No, you're not.
But
go back 15 years and start doing nothing but golf, and then maybe you'll have a shot at doing it.
Did Ben Hogan ever take any money for playing golf? I know he was a big amateur star.
You're thinking of Bobby Jones.
Oh, Bobby Jones, my bad.
Yeah, Ben Hogan, of course. Yeah, he did very well.
I bought my dad a couple pictures of Ben Hogan chipping, and they are in a corner of his home.
Do you want to borrow my copy of the match, the match between Ben Hogan and let's see, Byron Nelson, Ken Venturi, and another amateur player? It was 2 pros against 2 amateurs. And it's right around this time of year. It was during the Pro-Am at Pebble Beach. Bing Crosby would have everybody over to his house. They'd all get drunk, and then he'd beat his kids, and they'd all have a good laugh over it. And there was this big argument going on at dinner one night. Eddie Lowry, who caddied for Francis Ouimet, he was a successful car dealer out in California. He said, I got 2 kids working for me. You can beat anybody on the planet. And this guy pipes up. He goes, anybody? He says, yeah. So this guy leaves the room. He calls Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson on the phone. He says, be at Cypress tomorrow at 9 a.m. I got a match for you. And the match was Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson, who were kind of in the twilight of their careers, against Ken Venturi and this other amateur. And it's a fantastic read. It's a great book.
I only want to read it if they go shot for shot.
Yeah.
They absolutely go shot
Yeah,
for shot.
that sounds
through
interesting
all
to me.
18 holes.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I want to know about wind conditions on various holes.
You get all that. You've read it. You've read it.
It was a gusty day on 16.
Jesus God.
The ocean, she was angry.
Shush. What if it? Now you're spoiling it for people who haven't read it. And you obviously have.
Well, I know that Pebble Beach has finicky weather this time of year.
He has that
that
faraway
Cypress?
look. Hardy has that great faraway look, like when he was talking about Ultimate a couple of minutes ago.
It's such a good book.
It's that glassy-eyed stare that he gets. You know, it's kind of like sunshine arrives over his head while he's talking about
Here's what I
this.
envision is he gets on a plane, he cracks it. Plane lands, plane empties. Stewardess comes up and says, sir, we're here. And he goes, shush. I'm enraptured. I'm not getting up until the last page has been turned.
Speaking of turning pages, Jim Murray posted on Twitter yesterday, what a haul, and a photograph from what can only be like a secondhand vintage shop he was visiting in New Orleans. 2 crates of Playboys, and one of the crates is marked $25. And look at all the vintage Playboy magazines available there, Fred.
What I want is tactile used porn.
Well, some of them are in bags.
Well, that's just
Much
all the better.
Much better.
But it's just funny, like something that's a tool, a masturbatory tool, they're second-handing it. I'm no germaphobe, but and believe me, I pawed through my friends' parents' Playboys like you wouldn't believe. There was a kid whose only reason we went to his house is his dad had him leather-bound by year in his library.
I'm an ass man.
And that was his name.
He was an ass man.
It was Tony Assman.
I'm an ass man.
Now, did Jim buy him?
I don't think so. Unless he left a lot of room in his luggage to bring that stuff home. I mean, there's a accent play. Oh, my God. I just looked at the cover of it. Yep, that's the one.
Oh, I remember that one. I didn't have it. I had the one with the newscaster on it. It was like 1 million pictures of her on the news. She got fired right quick after doing that. All right, because she showed her. She, as a woman, chose to show herself nude, and that's no good. How dare you? They'd show your body to everyone because it's yours. What are you doing? All right, that'll do.